It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy
what
the
up?
moment.
Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Ooh. Do this. How y'all doing? Mic check, mic check. Good morning. Whew. Well, welcome. I tried to do a little too much before I hit live, but we good. 7:34. Good morning. What's up, Whiskey Neat? Good morning. Thanks for checking in. So today, what's up, Debbie? Good to see you. I was trying to go on Facebook this morning just to kind of because I'm the news is. Well, outside of, hey, this is Mika, this mic'd up. What's up, Jessica? Good morning. Thank you, Jessica. It's so good for my self-esteem. So check it. After today, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, come back around Election Day. I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to do something. It's not like we got like mad election coverage like that, but I don't know. But basically, I'm going to come back either like as the polls close or like that next morning. But basically, I'm going to take a couple days off in between. Yeah. So today is all about politics, local and national, because some of the national elections and whatnot have local implications or have implications that will reverberate down here. What's up, LQJ? Good to see you. And so that's what I want to do. I want to talk about the local newsmakers. Shout out to Caitlin Bird. We're going to dig into Caitlin Bird from the state. Yeah. Good morning, D. Bartlett. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. So yeah, we're going to talk about, we're going to dig into Caitlin Bird's piece that was published over the weekend, I think Friday. I shared it on Instagram within the stories and linked it there. We're going to dive into this. Let me just tell you this. I don't know I literally don't know the technical name for what Nancy Mace is doing, but I know it has a name and I know it's a part of a strategy. And I alluded to this in my Instagram stories, like a lot of things that she does. She's trying to, I will say this, what she's doing is not easy. I want to just say that it's not easy, but if you're a savvy politician, this is a skill that you'll have to hone. That skill is how to walk the tightrope if you're in a swing district. So how do you walk that tightrope that you don't come off too fanatical to piss off the Democrats in this district, right? South Carolina 1, Congressional 1, like, and then like how do you still give the right, and this is a more activated, more extreme right, how do you give them enough red meat? From what I've seen on Twitter, from what I've seen from Fitz News in terms of the headlines, because I don't really click on Fitz News unless it's absolutely necessary, but from what I've seen from conservative sources, conservative commentators and conservative whomevers, right, I'm seeing a lot of people continue to pile on to Nancy Mace, and even with this recent vote to subpoena Bannon. Fitz News wrote a really cute little headline that really pretty much wraps it up. So we're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into local reporting, everything except Fitz News. We're not going to click on that. But if we see the headline, I'll show you just for effect, right? So let's jump into it. What's up, Megsy? Good morning. Good to see you. Thank you for checking in and saying what up. All right, here we go. So, boom. Also, my Knicks didn't win last night. I'm sad, but my Giants win. I ain't gonna play the Bon Jovi that I want to play. Because I might get a copyright strike. But living on a prayer. You know what I mean? Shout out to my G-man, Big Blue. Good morning, Denise. What's up, Justin? Good to see you. Local politics roundup. Given the lag, I don't know what you heard last, but given the lag, I'll just repeat it. It just bears repeating anyway. Today's all about just digging into local. Look, we got less than 10 days to Election Day. Here, the city council races. We've got national. We got other, New Jersey and Virginia to watch as well. But we need to really kind of like just stay engaged with local politics. So today's live stream is pretty much just committed to that. So this is the front page of today's Post and Courier. Got Boom and Balance on the front page again, which is an occasional. I like how they call it an occasional series. I got one of those too, usually on podcasts. Repurposing familiar sites. So here where is a story in the middle, North Charleston. You'll see a lot about North Charleston's development and their emergence. I think in the next few years, it's gonna be a site to behold with Top Golf coming, with a lot of development coming, certain infrastructure projects poised to displace some folks, some predominantly black neighborhoods, residents in predominantly black neighborhoods. We're gonna see a lot of very, very, though I'm just going to use the word interesting development in and around creating more commercial spaces, so on and so forth. But here underneath this photo, the caption reads, construction work continues at the old ICE distribution building on Sproul Avenue. This picture was taken on October 15th, North Charleston, where office retail spaces are planned. So a lot of look, Charleston is closed. They're not going to tell you that. And if you go to Johns Island, you go to parts of James Island, you go to, parts of West Ashley, you be like, Charleston ain't closed. But basically, I think we're seeing kind of some spillover. Like, Charleston just ain't the cost of living, everything, a lot of different factors. These other major metropolitan areas now are poised to have to kind of plan for this growth, the growth that they're planning for, the growth that they've worked to create, the boom that they work to create, whether it be through tourism, so those are more temporary visitor coming and whatnot, but also through the manufacturing jobs that are being wooed here. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So front page. Then we have $45 million may go toward park, pool, or rec center improvements in North Charleston. So North Charleston dominates the front page here. Then you have a story over to the right. Security cameras soon to be installed. Officers hope monitoring live feed of Hutchinson Square in Somerville will aid in crime reduction. Ugh. Y'all know how I feel about police surveillance. I mean, that ain't gonna make it more safe. It's an interesting approach. It's an approach that's not going to reduce crime. We've seen this. Look, I'm not trying to be salacious either. And, I think that one day I will dive into talking about crime and what the factors that cause crime and the real, like we talked about this a little bit with the Mark Lamont Hill book, shout out El Cool policing in the pandemic, right? So a lot of that book, that's a very slim volume that's really easy to get through. El Cool just logged into the chat. I just saw you, as you see your comment just popped up. But thank you for the book. But within that book, it outlines all these different factors that create this perfect storm that might lead to more crime. And cameras, look, there's already cameras already out there. This is the part that they really don't like. Now, I'm not like if the town voted on it, whatever, right? But what I'm trying to say is more surveillance is not going to lead to crime reduction. It's not going to solve the root causes. Not going to address the root causes. It's a response. But if you follow any of those, and I kind of cringe at the fact that I follow these pages, but let me hop on Instagram real quick. I kind of cringe a little bit, but what started off as me continued to follow news media in markets where I've lived before. So Philly Metro. Indulge me for a second. We'll get right back to the local news roundup. I can just do any one that pops up. Let me see. Oh, I should go to my. We'll do this. No. Let me see. 11. Yeah. So if you go to any of these pages, like this is Channel 11 in New Jersey, New York area. Oftentimes they show like shootouts and things that happen in broad daylight, captured on right here. I'm not going to play it because it's violent, but right here. So I follow all these pages. I'm not proud necessarily, but my point is saying this: we already live in a place where there are cameras everywhere. A lot of commercial spaces are residences now. We already have the Ring doorbell technology. Other security systems are now outfitting homes in the similar technology, and so that there are cameras everywhere. It doesn't deter crime. Like one thing I saw during the pandemic was, yes, violent crime, like violent theft, then armed robbery. You saw the news really focus in along, like in this little middle clip here. Again, I'm not going to play it because I clearly see someone with a firearm, and they're out in broad daylight. And so my point is, I'm not trying to make a case for they're going to be shooting anyway. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that more cameras ain't the solution. More surveillance, giving the cops more money, or giving anything law enforcement adjacent more money is not going to solve the problem at all. But if there's folks that have been victimized by, a rash of robberies and other types of crime, in Somerville, of course, I'm not unsympathetic, but I just know that ain't the solution. Back to an earlier comment, because I know there's a little bit of a lag. El Cool J, you said Top Golf. You drove by one in Nashville, horrible, obnoxious. Yeah, the light is going to be a trip for them folks. Like the light. I'm glad you lifted that up, El Cool J. Get ready, North Charleston. Get ready. Over here we have Kim Burns Quilt on display in Greenville. What's up, B-Man? Good morning. Yeah, Kim Burns Quilt, and I was like, what the fuck? What is that? And then I just kind of Googled it. I ain't really that interested in it. I just wanted to Google it just so y'all know what it is. Shout out to Kim Burns. I'm a fan of the documentary series. He got a headlock on that. He got a chokehold on that industry, but it's time to pass the torch there, bro. I love Kim Burns. Time to pass the torch, not just to your son-in-law neither. All right, so this is Uncovered, the Kim Burns collection, October 9th through January 30th. Quilts are, of course, not the first thing that comes to mind when you are talking about Kim Burns. The acclaimed filmmaker is known for making dozens of documentary series, including Civil War, baseball. The baseball one was dope as hell. Vietnam War one was really good. Yada, yada, yada. Burns began collecting American quilts in the 1970s. Okay, so he has a collection that's going to be in the upcountry. Just wanted to ask him. I was like, what is this Kim Burns stuff right here? Okay, so let's flip to the state newspaper. And again, we're going to get to Caitlin Bird's reporting on Nancy Mace. Did I finish my thought? I don't know if I finished my thought. I might not have finished my thought earlier. Bear with me. I said, there's a practice that Nancy Mace is engaging in. I probably didn't continue my thought. There's a practice that Nancy Mace engages in that I don't know what the name is, but it has a name, where she's able to sniff out. Yeah, I talked about how she was walking a tightrope and whatnot, and it's pissing off a lot of the staunch, really extreme right wingers like Fitz News, who really want the red meat and the Trumpism, and McKissick and all those, right? It's pissing them off. But she's got to walk the tightrope because she's in a swing district, right? It was just Democrat just a second ago, and went from Republican to Democrat back to Republican. That district is, if not haunted, it's complex, right? And so I don't know what it is, but she's got a way. She's got a great team. She was gifted a great team, even though she voted against Liz Cheney to strip her of her authority and her power in Congress. She has benefited greatly from having Liz Cheney's old comms team. And so I don't know what the name is. If y'all know, if there's any politicos in the House, and you know what that practice is of sussing out certain issues that feel very down the middle, safe in the middle of the road, right? Good morning, Brian. How you doing? I don't know what that practice is, but she's definitely really good at that. And I guess I'm going to give her credit for that. Don't know if that's going to work out in her favor. That's still up for debate. But I'm starting to really see her be very savvy with the maneuvering around her district and around issues that get a lot of headlines, a lot of screen time. But really, are they really important to her district? One would say no. You going to the border in a tank top looking like, an extra in Top Gun, with the aviators on. I don't know if District 1 really gives a fuck about that. Free Britney. I think it's important to talk about conservatorships. Absolutely. Especially as a person who struggles with mental illness. I think it's important to talk about that. This is a disability issue for sure. Is the District 1, is that really what they caring about? Like, they getting up in the morning and they wringing their hands and rocking back and forth over their bowl of oatmeal, worry about, I don't know, but she's able to grab these really big splashy headline stories and then advocate. So she's getting a lot of just airtime that you have to, like, that's worth probably up in the millions, depending on which market she can jump into, which news cycle. Like Newsmax ain't $1 million worth of coverage, but but Newsmax is strategic. Getting covered by Newsmax is strategic in that she's gonna constantly be in the face of that conservative base, and she's likely to raise more money, so on and so forth, right? I don't know what that practice is anyway, and I digress. Because I pulled up the state newspaper. We're going to get into Caitlin Bird's reporting. That's why I brought it up. All right, I'm going to put my phone over here. All right, what's up, Rugby? How you doing? All right, so front page of the state newspaper, population shift means changes for 2 House districts. Let's talk about the front page. I'm going to get, look, New York Times, Washington Post, the state, Post and Courier, all got cons, all got problems, all got things, and I'll be quick to point it out. I'm just saying, the state is off the ropes. The state is the state is just coming off the, like to me, they come in with some good coverage, some really solid coverage. We're gonna read the Caitlin Bird story together though, to make sure there wasn't make sure none of that access shit is in there. Because I didn't read it in full. Well, I think I read most of it, if not all of it. I'm trying to move up. I think I'm stuck. But no, but yeah, we'll read that and we'll see if they did, if Caitlin Bird practiced any of the same, engaged in some of the same practices Thomas Novelli and Jennifer Berry Hawes did when they really lavished Mace with so much praise. Oh, harrowing tale of her and her romper, kids being ripped from her arms. And just like, come on, y'all, let's stop. This is not the way they wrote it. You would think it was a period piece, like the end of the Civil War or like the middle of the Civil War or something. Like she's Scarlett O'Hara with Tara, with dirt from Tara in her arms and her hands. Get out of here. All right, sorry, had triggered. All right, population shift means changes for two House districts. This is important. Shout out to League of Women Voters has been on this. Shout out to all the emails I'm getting about this. This is really important. So let me blow this up a little bit. Well, first let's take a look at the whole front page and we go back up. I'm intentionally ignoring every single headline about the Braves. Y'all can get out of here with that mess. Also down here, there's a story that I did download for the homies at FOGC. It will just drown over time. Coastal development boom endangers salt marshes. Let me say this one more time. It will just drown over time. Coastal development boom endangers salt marshes and a resource vital to the Southeast economy. You feel me? Thailand's in peril, right? So that's one headline there. We're going to go right back up to the redistricting. Hold up. All right, Columbia starts program that helps inmates reenter society. We got to dig into that. Allie, if you watching now, you watching later. You watching live or later. Allie, we might need to go over this together. I think this might be, I'm inviting Allie to the Mic'd Up podcast, the audio podcast, so we can talk all things prosecutors, shenanigans, all things public defenders, all things reentry programs, recidivism. We're going to talk about that. So Allie, if you're listening now, get ready. All right. So we'll get into that, but let's read this right here because we're talking about politics roundup. All right. This is written by Zach. Is it Koski? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this journalist's name, but we're going to go forward. Let's make it big. Let's make it obnoxious. All right. So Columbia, boom. South Carolina has added about 500,000. That's 500,000 people over the last decade, but that population growth has been far from uniform. And real quick, I already said this before. If people think that all these people coming down here, they assume that they're Democrats, they're liberals coming from New Jersey or New York City. They not, and just letting y'all know that. They not, so don't bank on that. Don't equate growth with more moderate politics or more liberal or left-leaning politics. We know that's not it, okay? So 500,000 people moving in here in the last decade, but the population growth has been far from uniform. Urban and coastal areas have packed on population, while rural areas, especially those along Interstate 95, have shrunk in size. A state lawmaker embarked as state lawmakers, let me read it over here. As state lawmakers embark on the process of redrawing voter districts in the months ahead, they'll have to take those population shifts into account to ensure all districts have equivalent populations of about 731,200 people. Let me read that again for emphasis. As state lawmakers embark on the process of redrawing voter districts in the months ahead, they'll have to take those population shifts into account to ensure that all districts have equivalent populations of about 731,200 people. Five of South Carolina's seven congressional districts are within 4% of the ideal population and likely won't require substantial modification. But the first congressional district, represented by Nancy Mace, Republican from Daniel Island, and the sixth congressional district, held by House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, Democrat, Columbia, deviates significantly from standard size and will need extensive adjustments. Get ready, kids, children, get ready for the bullshit. Get ready for some bullshit here, okay? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be pessimistic, but we'll see. All right, let me read the chat real quick. Jessica, you said met some of the grossest right wingers around from Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. Okay, right? All moved down here to be with like-minded folk. Come on, come through. Anecdotal, but real. And that's been my experience too. And think about the Hannah Raskin piece about the barrel. Those people didn't have any, like they thought, like Hannah said that people come down here expecting it to be Connecticut or New York with a beach or something like that, she said. It's exactly that. Not only that, you can tell they're conservative by how they even like try to like, let me not do that, because that's not all conservatives do that, because there's a bunch of conservatives in Wamala that actually care about the community and keeping it rural and shit like that. But you can tell that there's not that hippie liberal sensibility that the right accuses of so many of the out-of-towners of being. There's not those like, oh, let me embed myself in my community, let me learn, let me start an herb garden, with my community. You don't see that. Not necessarily. You're not seeing that at all. Jessica, you went on to say lower taxes, etc. Most of the Dems I've met here, because their jobs were moved here out of union friendly areas. Hello. Brianne, you says, damn, this is not looking good. It's not. And then El Kuj, you co-signed what Jessica said. You said a lot of retired folks voting to protect their money. Hello, look at Florida. I always said we already died Miami. Look at South Florida. There's nothing but a bunch of retired New Yorkers. But what? That state is firmly what? And how they be acting down there, huh? Come on, come through. Right? Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Right, Jessica? Okay. So, going back to here. So they're saying that this swing district that Nancy Mace is in, the 1st Congressional and the 6th Congressional District, which has been held down since the 90s by Jim Clyburn. We'll talk about that later on another live stream. That's subject to some adjustments. Mace's district, which stretches along the Atlantic coast from Hilton Head down the Santee River, and it includes portions of Beaufort, Berkeley, Charleston, Colleton, and Dorchester counties, has experienced a population boom over the past decade and now has 819,000 people, or about 88,000 more than it should have. So that's interesting. So that's going to be very interesting. And I want y'all to also keep this in mind. These are the numbers and these are the shifts that people like a Joe Cunningham, they will seek out this information, and this is largely used to inform whether or not they're going to run, which districts they're going to run in. Because I maintain that Joe Cunningham is a dino. He's a Democrat in name only. I feel like he's more of an opportunist than anything. He probably doesn't have any real party affiliation if you really look at it. Because I really do think the dude is like tofu. He takes on any flavor you dunk him in, right? He really is tofu. The personality of tofu. So my guess is that people like Joe Cunningham specifically, at least we know what flavor of hot mess Nancy Mace is. She was a Trump acolyte trying to do a little rebranding with the right gown changes or whatever, right? Akin to a reality star reunion. That's, she just switches up outfits and it's just cosplay for her. We know what kind of flavor of hot mess she is, right? But Joe Cunningham is harder to really put your finger on because he can just really, again, take on any flavor that he's in. So I think it's people like them that don't really have that can. I'm from Kentucky, Joe Cunningham. I'm from Kentucky. I'm not a local. I got a nice thick head of curly hair, so the girl is gonna love me, and the fellas too. Hello, right? And so like I got this going for me, but I'm really kind of like nebulous. Like, oh, the Klan came to my town when I was a young boy. We just ignored it. I'm not gonna be very strident on race issues. And then he got the lucky bounce when Katie Arrington was all in on offshore drilling, and that district was like, hold up, girl, too much dip on your chip. So he got that lucky bounce when Katie Arrington made that faux pas. If Katie Arrington was more moderate and more more left leaning on offshore drilling, she would have won handily. I really believe that. I mean, that her politics aside, her gross politics aside, the girl was running a hell of a race after almost life-ending accident. Women are held to a different standard, and then on top of that, she was dealing with all that. Damn. Even though she got caught up in some drama this year, we ain't forget the national security stuff. We didn't forget that, Katie. But we didn't forget the security clearance issues. But in terms of that race, let me see. Funny tofu Joe. I think that's gonna stick. Don't do tofu like that. I'm just saying, you gotta hook tofu up though. I'll eat tofu, but like, you gotta hook it up. I don't want tofurkey though. I'm scarred. Working for Trader Joe's, tofurkey talks really got me like, oh my God. Oh, the tofu, oh my God. Oh, how firm is it? What kind of, girl, if you don't get this damn fake turkey. Jessica, you said you heard through the grapevine. She was offered to the nurses? Oh no. She was pulling a Sigourney Weaver in Working Girl kind of thing. Let me stop. That's my favorite movie. Like Rocky, Working Girl. And then probably some black stuff. Rocky's my favorite movie of all time. Working Girl. Everything I learned about being a professional in the workplace, I learned from Working Girl, including how to wear shoulder pads. All right, let me stop. I know I'm driving y'all crazy today. I had some really good tea this morning. All right. So yeah, let's keep reading real quick. So there's gonna be some changes in the congressional one. So also I'm saying, like, we've seen that both we got Rice, he's facing all this opposition, but we've seen that Nancy Mace has a bunch of opposition too. So if not this election, let's say she wins re-election. Let's say she wins her primary. Let's just say she wins a primary and she wins re-election. It'll be interesting to see what these shifts mean in the future, right? Because it's not going to. No, because we'll see. All right, let's keep reading. Let me stop trying to act like I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to invite the League of Women Voters on. They can talk to you about this stuff. All right, the 6th district which Clyburn has held since 1993 has gone in the opposite direction despite covering a lot of land. The amorphous majority black district has that encompasses 7 rural counties and part of 9 other counties in the Midlands, PD, and Low Country regions has only 646,000 residents, or about 85,000 fewer than it needs to have, right? So it says RightSizing. They're using the word RightSizing. That's going to be an interesting term to keep an eye on. RightSizing both districts will be a primary focus of state lawmakers as they take public testimony on proposed redraws. You know what? I'm going to hop into my own inbox and see if I can get that League of Women Voters email. Yeah. Let the river run. Who are you? Who are tofu and the ramen? What? Whiskey neat. What is this? Oh, like real ramen? No, not. Oh yeah, you talking about real ramen? All right. So let me see. League of Women Voters. League Pass, because I just bought that NBA League Pass. I didn't buy it. Y'all know I did. All right. NBA League Pass. Let me see. League of Women Voters Symposium. No. Didn't they just give me? It's probably LWV. Yeah, here we go. It's early vote day. Did they talk about redrawing? Let me click on this. I could have sworn I saw an email about redrawing districts. Anyway, y'all drop it in there if y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we'll hop back over. Okay. All right. So right-sizing both districts will be a primary focus of state lawmakers as they take public testimony on proposed redraws. Okay. We'll keep you posted. Tune in to Mic'd Up after the hiatus. After a couple days of hiatus, tune in to Mic'd Up. All right. Let's get back to, let's see where we want to go. Yeah, check out the state newspaper, though. Use your library card. This is all from the library. This is Newsbank. I'm not on the website. Use your library card and check out this story. The front page story dealing with the title march, because I'm definitely going to dig into that with the homies and some other people, just to kind of stay up to that. Let me refresh all my tabs real quick. Let's keep it local. We're going to keep it going. We're going to stay with Nancy. Let's stay with Nancy since we're going to talk about Tim. So, like I said, Nancy Mace has this uncanny ability. Oh, we got to keep doing the local. We got to do the local news roundup. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. What's up, D? I love Working Girl. Let the river run. Carly. I hate that song. Can I tell you that I love that movie, but I hate that song, Carly Simon. Like, I hate that song, like, Let the River Run. but every time I hear it, I sing it emphatically. It's weird. I don't know. It's weird. I like it though. I just love it. Back when women were allowed to have regular bodies, even though it was gratuitous nudity in that movie, like she did not need to be naked in vacuuming. Not too much nudity, but yeah, I like that. Let the river run. Carly, girl. All right. Yeah, local news roundup. I want to get to it. We're gonna get back to Nancy. We're gonna get to the national, the national races and whatnot. And Nancy Mace's uncanny ability to suss out moderate topics to exploit for airtime. Where I want to start? Let's just start here. This was an interesting story. Shout out to Low Country. How is it? Action Committee. Shout out to BLM and whatnot.
Tonight, Low Country organizers are honoring the revolution of the Black Panther Party that began 55 years ago this month. News 2's Kate Prest.
Let's just say, come through, Browse. She beat for the back. She beat for the back of the room. Let me tell you something. That face is beat to capacity. Let's go, lashes. Appropriate lashes for drama. Love it.
Was at the event where poetry, music, and notes on racial justice were shared.
Spot 47 filled with those remembering the legacy of the Black Panther Party, the revolution, and how best to move forward. The Charleston community and a former member honoring the lessons and the foundations of the Black Panther Party that through political organization, political struggle, and political education, justice, power, and community can be achieved. Speakers at the celebration focusing on the many positives often overlooked of the party, from health services to opening community centers to better the lives of those around them, adding that the many struggles that were faced 55 years ago remain in place and that the Panthers are not dead.
That's the whole point the Black Panthers were trying to stress was self-determination, because they understood that Black people were a colony within a colony. We're a nation within a nation. They understood that. I think another thing that the Black Panther Party understood was that it's something that Huey Newton, talks a lot about, which is, dialectical materialism. And that is that everything is changing all the time.
We have more about the 55th anniversary of the Black Panther Party on our website. That's counton2.com. For now in downtown Charleston.
Talking about finding them stories. Kate be staying on them stories. Shout out to Kate. I love a diligent reporter. And shout out to you, Jessica, for that observation. So take notes. I've seen some crazy looking anchors out here, but she's on it, right? Amaris is on it. She's getting poached. Her and Kate gonna get poached. A lot of them are leaving. It's crazy to see like the young field reporters and whatnot, see them glow up in other markets and stuff like that. It's really like we lost Paola, we lost Rob Way. Those two CBS field reporters. We lost a lot over the years. I just think about like during the Women's March stuff, they gave a lot of coverage I mean, they covered a lot of things that I did. Excuse me. All right. Wanted to keep it in the low country for a second longer. And let me close out the Post and Courier, and I'll leave that up just in case. I'm gonna close that out too. Let's get to Live 5 News. Bing bong. Oh yeah. Guess who coming to town? Coming back to South Carolina. Dr. Jill Biden. I wish. I'd be having like Nancy Reagan fantasies. Not to say that like Jill Biden's politics are in line with Nancy Reagan, but I would just be hoping that Jill. I feel like Jill is on it more than Joe. I feel like Jill is more. I don't know. We want her to take over.
The First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, is making 2 different visits.
Speaking of, I just don't know why she wears these sleeves. I don't know why. It's a different dress, but it's the same thing. Like she knows she got a formula. All of them got a formula, men and women. She got a formula, and I love her formula. And she sticks with it, like certain silhouettes and certain cuts that really flatter her on TV. We just need the formula. You got to find the formula that works for you, and you got to go for it.
Charleston later today.
Hey,
first
Joy.
stop will be the Medical University of South Carolina's Hollings Cancer Center before going to Joint Base Charleston.
Summer Hector is live outside the Hollings Cancer Center now with more on why the First Lady is visiting MUSC today.
This poor girl in the rain.
Aisha, Michael, good morning. First Lady Jill Biden is visiting here at the Hollings Cancer Center this afternoon for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now, Dr. Raymond Du Bois from the Hollings Cancer Center says this visit is so important to them right now because they're going to be able to showcase their research and their programs, which is something she is very passionate about. And he says one area they are emphasizing is their community engagement program.
We do see a lot of minority patients or patients that come from underserved areas. She's very passionate about trying to do what she can to improve health and equity, especially in the cancer field.
Now, this will be a very secure visit for the First Lady, but Du Bois says they plan to showcase some exciting things that they are doing here at the Hollings Cancer Center. He says they will present to the First Lady their community outreach program. It's based out of a lot of Black churches in the area. They host trainings about cancer screenings and healthy lifestyles. And then those folks who receive this training then go out and teach others. Now, Du Bois says the First Lady will meet some of the staff and students here, including students from their HBCU pipeline program, which she is very interested in learning about. Now, Du Bois says the Hollings Cancer Center is now in the U.S. News and World Report's top 40 rankings for cancer centers. He says Dr. Biden will hear about exciting new research where one scientist here has discovered a monoclonal antibody drug for treating breast cancer.
Justin.
Now, the First Lady, she's expected to arrive here around.
Justin, let me tell you something. I wish.
2:45 p.m. and we will have coverage here on Live 5 News of her visits throughout the day. For now, live in downtown Charleston, Summer Hector.
So 2:45. If you live in Charleston, plan accordingly because you know it's gonna be hell. If you live downtown, excuse me, watch for motorcades and a bunch of other stuff. For sure. Oh, look at Live 5 News trying to be cute. So you see this. And I know that, part of what I do in the morning is provide at least a modicum. I know I'm a little snark, little criticism of a neckline or two. That's fine. I'm comfortable with that. But also what I like to do is serve up a modicum of media literacy. And so like you see this shit right here. So of course they need ads, and this is why you can't find Live 5 content on YouTube as readily available as other news outlets have. Other news outlets, I guess, have figured out how to monetize YouTube in a way to where they offer it on both, whereas Live 5 is like just not there. But maybe they're just all in on these ads. But you see this shit, like so when you're on the site, you saw me. You probably saw me throughout reduced smaller ads. But you see this bullshit right here. So this is sponsored content, but it's placed right here between local news tidbits, but you think that this is just another news story, and it looks, for me, if I was right leaning, I'd click on this because I probably don't like Ilhan Omar. It says this is Ilhan and they use her whole name, so you know what that's about. Her whole name. All right. Let's go with the ethnic fear-mongering. Ilhan Omar's net worth at age 39, and it's sponsored content. A lot of people don't realize. This is what I try to train my dad on, because he got caught out there clicking on a lot of sponsored content that was real spammy and predatory. But that's some bullshit, like how they couch that between, and then right. So you have the historic Buford Church news. You have the cost of gas spiking up 13 cents per gallon. And then you got that bullshit, and then you got this other breaking news about some shooting in West Ashley. That's some bullshit. But they got I guess they paying bills. That's how they choose to pay bills. Okay. Let's watch this. This is important. This is the comment period closing for Charleston flood fix plan. So I really want to encourage you.
Wholehearted is packed with high quality ingredients to give me energy.
Jesus.
Without it,
ads are crazy. Okay. Yeah, comment period about to expire. This is going to be a good segue to today's podcast, the audio mic'd up podcast.
Time is running out for you to provide public comment on how to fix Charleston flooding. One proposal comes from the Army Corps of Engineers. The plan includes building a seawall that would surround the Charleston Peninsula and sit 12 feet above sea level. The proposal calls to build an oyster reef-based shoreline, and a third is to stuff up the rising house levels. If you want to provide feedback on these proposals, you can find the link to the study on live5news.com. The forum closes tomorrow.
Okay, so that's today. Yeah, this was published yesterday, so this is today, I believe. Yeah, I think the comment. Yeah, Army Corps of Engineers said the public has until Monday to comment on draft feasibility. I know us at FOGC are trying to formulate comments and sentiments around putting out a comment. We're trying to get our shit together, trying to figure out what voice we want to use and how we want to give our comment on this. So today is the last day, y'all. And if you want to know more, if you want to learn more about the climate crisis, sea level rise, you can do two things for me. You can go to Policy Link and you can listen to the Water Equity podcast series that I created in partnership with Policy Link, working with a local artist, Benny Starr, centering his music. But more importantly, just as important, I've talked to a lot of advocates and activists on the ground who deal with climate change and the climate crisis. If you go to Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Breaker, wherever you get your podcast, you can get the latest episode of Mic'd Up. And what I do is I preview that first episode. So if you're like, oh, I can never remember the Policy Link website, that's how I imagine y'all sound. You could go ahead and today's episode is a Water Equity podcast preview. So basically, I just come on for a second, intro the episode, and in the show notes, you get links to where you can, let me just click on it. You get links to where to find the rest of the episode. So I make it really easy for you. I literally copied and pasted and copied the copy from the Policy Link website, so you can listen to the rest of the series. But this is episode 1 I put on the Mic'd Up platform. So go ahead and check that out, because climate change is real. I woke up this morning. What was the national news? What was it? Cyclone bombs, record-breaking water in California, the Golden Gate Bridge whistling and doing crazy stuff. There's a lot going on with climate change. So if you want a more local focus, or a more like progressive focus, and figure out how Policy Link and other places are trying to influence policy, do that. Listen to that. We already talked about Jill Biden. All right. I want to get off the local kind of headline. I'm gonna get off this. So I'm gonna close out Live 5, and we're gonna keep it going with news. We're gonna segue into the shenanigans. We're gonna kind of bring you up to date on the infrastructure plan. This is from WCNC. I think this was published this morning, or at least last night. This is from WCNC in Charlotte, saying that giving you a status update on the infrastructure bill.
This morning, top Democrats say they are close to making a deal on President Biden's social and climate
Yeah, they
plans.
published it this morning.
Wake Up Charlotte's Chris Pallone joins us from D.C. And Chris, this comes ahead of 2 major summits for the president later this week.
Thank you, Jessica.
Good morning. Sunday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said negotiations on President Biden's Build Back Better bill were 90% done, with Senate Democrats likely to announce a deal today. Inching towards the finish line.
We've 90% of the bill agreed to and written. We just have some of the last decisions to be made.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi confirming Democrats are finishing work on President Biden's top legislative priority, a spending bill intended to strengthen the nation's social safety net and roll back the effects of climate change. Once pegged at $3.5 trillion, the final bill likely to come in around $2 trillion.
It is less than we had was projected to begin with, but it's still bigger than anything we have ever done in terms of addressing the needs of America's working families.
President Biden hosted the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and a key moderate, West Virginia's Joe Manchin, at his Delaware home Sunday morning to hammer out the final agreement. What likely stays? Universal pre-K, child care, and elder care funding. What's likely out? Free community college and Medicare expansion to cover dental, hearing, and vision. What's limited? The length of the child tax credit and paid family leave reduced from 12 weeks to 4.
Really what we're talking about is a GI Bill for the 21st century.
I think we're talking about bad tax policies, bad environmental policies.
Democrats holding slim majorities in both houses of Congress, trying to deliver the president a legislative win a year before.
They ain't never seen a environmental policy they like. Shut the fuck up.
For the midterm elections. President Biden leaves for Europe Thursday for summit meetings with key world allies. Democrats hope to have all of this wrapped up by then. In Washington, Chris Pallone, Wake Up Charlotte.
Okay, that's a good little recap from at least a regional news source there. Yo, for real, like this chick right here, it's like I don't know which clip I watched with Cinema. It probably was CBS this morning. It probably was the opening, a few news packages. The way Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin have stood in the way of this infrastructure bill, and it's really heartbreaking to see that, the Medicare expansion, things that really help people, see that stuff taken out. This is a woman who voted against the Trump tax cuts on for corporations, but she won't approve taxing corporations more, bringing it back to where it was. She's not for that. And it's just really, really fucked up, for lack of a better word. Let's watch this real quick. Oh, this is just, this was published yesterday by The Hill, and it's all text. So for those who are listening, I'm just gonna probably sloppily read much of what's printed. Democratic frustration with Sinema rises. Whew, what is going on? I just don't like it. Don't make no sense. What in the Mad Max? What is this? This really is giving me working girl vibes. Like, remember when Melanie Griffin's character went to the cocktail party? It's not even leather. It's just I'm sorry. I just can't. What is this? Let me let the news play. That's the most important. Democratic lawmakers are growing increasingly exasperated with Senator Kirsten Sinema over her opposition to 2 key proposals to pay for a budget reconciliation package. She won't let them tax. Won't let them. I hate even saying it like that. She loved being the belle of the ball. Her and Manchin, they love attention. I think that's what they want. I think they just want attention. Like, well, no. We know it, man. We also know Big Pharma. We know, dirty ass Cole. We know who's behind these two. But like, I really do think with her, she wants attention. And it's okay to have your own sense of style and flair. I'm not even like, do your thing. If you got a little signature thing you like to do, like what's the congresswoman that wore the cowboy hats? Like, do your thing. You want to stand out? Do your thing. But to me, when she does it, it's just it's all histrionics. It's all theater. Let me see what y'all dropping in the chat. Let me see. Somebody says, thank you. They love my content. Thank you. I love you for saying that. What's up, Michelle? So she bought out by someone. She's bought out by Big Pharma. That's just one. It's just big dark money interest, right? I have no clue what she's going on. LQJ, earlier you said Manchin absolutely against community college funding, which would be huge for people with his poor state, right? Shout out to Nina Turner, who's been lighting up. Let's see if we can find a Nina Turner sound clip. Matter of fact, that's more important than watching this bullshit. And then we're gonna hop over to Nancy Mace. Nina Turner, Kirsten. Oh, no. Manchin. She lit that motherfucker up. Let's see. I want to see her, like, I don't like to watch too much of the sparring, but let me see. Let's just go back. This is 3 weeks old, but this is good. Then we're going to go back to this one up here up top. Oh, no, that's 6 months ago. This week, let's do this. This week, let's do this. Let's see what we got. Here we go.
Nina Turner, you were on CNN this morning, were you not?
I was.
Play it.
You were, and you talked about sort of the different factions in this infrastructure fight, and you talked about Bernie Sanders and his pressure that he
Emelita,
put on Joe Manchin. Now, I and many others have been just desperately calling on anyone in a position of power to actually pressure Manchin and Sinema and the others, and so Bernie finally did it. What did CNN think about that? Were they in favor of that?
No.
It was it was a great discussion this morning.
I gotta find it.
I must admit, and shortly after me, 2 Congress people were on. It was Congresswoman Bush and Congresswoman Bowman, and like different segments. Did not know they were gonna have on so many progressives this morning. It was a really robust conversation, and what I laid out, because Paul Begala was the other person on there, and the one thing that he and I did agree on is that the Democrats must do something. So that's a start. We did agree on that. I argued that $3.5 trillion investment is already the compromise position. He argued that something must be done, and that the 3.5 combined with some other monies will make this, the biggest investment since Reagan, I believe he said. The point of the matter is this: we cannot. I don't understand why we're compromising on the compromise on the compromise on the compromise. My major point is that 6.6 trillion was the starting number. Some progressives, John, as you remember, wanted 10. So we go from people throwing out 10 to okay, it's going to be 6. Now the 3.5, and now you have corporatists, more moderate Democrats, even trying to negotiate down from there. Let us not forget that both caucuses in both chambers, the caucuses in both chambers, being the Democratic caucuses, agree. Everybody agrees except for 2 senators. The people in this country agree, no matter what their political ideologies are. They say they rocking with the Build Back Better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Well, John, my question is, and maybe you can help me with this. If the president wants it, if the caucuses in the Congress want it, if the American people say we rocking with you, then what could be the problem?
Yeah.
Well, this is how you need to be talking. Like, wouldn't it be great? I know this is a very weird hypothetical. Wouldn't it be great if Clyburn was talking like this? Like, it'd be great to have like people from our own state that are Democrats talk this passionately about this bill and talk about what it is. Like, sell it. Like, just sell the fucking bill. Stop selling despair. Stop talking about parliamentarians. Stop talking about all this other bullshit you hiding behind. Oh, this was fire. Remember that thing 3 years ago? I might just play that for fun. But I wanted to get Nina Turner. Oh, this was good too.
A key meeting last night as talks over President Biden's sweeping economic agenda reach a critical point. Progressive Bernie Sanders and moderate Joe Manchin appearing with their arms around each other outside the Capitol.
Hey, thank you, Billy IE.
We're talking. All right, we're talking.
Okay.
Looks like all peace and harmony.
No, that's not what I want to see. Nina. I want to see Nina go in. Hold up. I know you're like, we could get it together. We gotta talk about this because this is about to really be this is important. All right, let me see. Just clicked on that. I want to see it. CNN be holding stuff hostage, yo. Come on, you know people want to see it though. Anyway. Ugh. Yeah, I wanted to see it.
A giant portion of our discretionary budget on wars.
Yeah, I'm going to make one quick note about TYT here. And
okay, here we go. I skip right over it. TYT be getting on my nerves sometimes. I'm very picky.
To get to Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, other progressives who are just killing it in their cable news interviews, advocating
Kia.
for the passage of this bill. Let's watch Nina Turner.
Thank you.
And look, the overwhelming majority of West Virginians agree with this. West Virginia is one of the poorest states in the United States of America. And you have a senator who is set for the rest of his natural life. And so are his children and his children's children. And he wanted to negotiate away. Senator Manchin, what do you want to negotiate?
Let's rewind that. Ooh, thank you again, Kia. Good morning.
News interviews, advocating for the passage of this bill. Let's watch Nina Turner.
And look, the overwhelming majority of West Virginians agree with this. West Virginia is one of the poorest states in the United States of America. And you have a senator who is set for the rest of his natural life. And so are his children and his children's children. And he wanted to negotiate away. Senator Manchin, what do you want to negotiate away? Is it child care? Is it the implosion of Mother Earth? Is it health care? What is it, Brianna? He is not saying what it is. So this is not about who's pragmatic and who's practical and who's progressive. This really is about, in this moment, whose side you are on. And let the American people remember this. $6 trillion was the original number. We are down to $3.5 trillion. How low are we going to go to sacrifice the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class in the United States of America? Hell, the Senate just gave, I think, what, $10 billion more dollars to the military budget than what was asked for?
She's right. In the next decade, the United States is going to spend a minimum of $7.5 trillion on the defense budget. The media never frames it that way. The media only frames the budget reconciliation bill as a $3.5 trillion spending plan. But when it comes to defense, they'll find ways to frame it as if we're not spending a giant portion of our discretionary budget on wars.
Yeah, I'm going to make one quick note about TYT here and what we're standing for. So Nina Turner is a host on TYT now. She's on Damage.
Okay, we're good, homie. Y'all can watch TYT to get us. Yeah, Nina Turner does work for them. What I want to definitely do is remind you all, if you want to get a friend, if you want to get like a different perspective, y'all are so cute. I love it. I'm gonna have to pause this just so I can thank y'all so much. I appreciate you so much. Oh my God. Thank you so much, B-Man. Thank you, everybody. Hype chain, appreciate it. I just paused the alerts. That means I'm gonna still see it, but I just had to pause it. Thank you, D. Thank you, everybody. It really makes my Monday feel good. And also 16 days till 41 Savage, 41, my birthday. All right. And I'm not asking for money per se. Anyway. All right. So if you want a framing that's not like CNN, MSNBC, if you're like me, you might turn on the news to get the broad strokes, and then you're like, all right, that's what everybody's talking about. Let me go ahead and go to the usual suspects. So my usual suspects, I think for right now, because it changes all the time, usual suspects for me, the Intercept, the Reveal. Thank you so much. I see y'all in the chat. Y'all are so cute. Buying bits. Y'all don't even know what bits are, do y'all? I love it. We learn it together. It's all good. Bits are helpful. Bits are helpful. All right, for me. I appreciate it. And it's not $100 for those who don't know. Like, it's not $100. I thought it was. I remember when Jared bought bits during one of my live streams. I appreciate it. But go to the Intercept, y'all, and specifically to their podcast. So the one that I listened to this weekend was this one right here with Ro Khanna on reconciliation. Ro Khanna also made the rounds this weekend regarding the bill. So that's important. So go, you can download this as you know, right after you download, rate, and subscribe to the Mic'd Up podcast hosted by mikagadsden, and listen to the Water Equity Podcast preview episode. After you like, rate, subscribe, share that shit with your family, I want you to go over to the Deconstructed podcast from the Intercept. It's going to have that yellow, this yellow right here, this kind of cream colored whatever, logo. And so listen to that. And this is really eye-opening about the reconciliation package that's probably where I got the Kristen Sinema. I don't know. I can't remember where I got certain things from. If you consume a lot of news like me, you're constantly in that situation. Thank y'all so much for the support. I appreciate y'all so much. I see you, supply chain. I got you. Hold on. Also, Truth Out is another website that you can go to with like international news. A lot of things here. Local COVID-19. Truthout.org. I ain't even touching this dang prop gun thing. That shit kind of broke my heart. That fucked my head up. I don't even know how that happens. Like, just unnecessary loss of life is just, that whole. Oh, we're gonna talk. Actually, this is gonna coincide. We're not gonna use this in a messy way, but we want to talk about that Nancy Mace thing that she's doing. And because I got on Twitter after the horrific tragedy where this young Miss Hutchins was killed, with a prop gun, when Alec Baldwin used the prop gun, was firing, was practicing a shot, and ended up killing her and hurting someone else. Why is that relevant to today? Because we're going to talk about that Nancy Mace technique that she's perfecting, if not perfected, because I saw how the right wing, the radical, like ultra, I don't want to use the word radical because radical to me means something positive, but the extreme right, they started the hashtag arrest Alec Baldwin or Alec Baldwin for prison and all the other stuff. And they were just like my criticism with the radical left, right? Thank y'all so much. Y'all are the cutest. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you. Choo choo. Ooh, 600 bits. Thank you. 9 subs, 600 bits. Thank you so much. But what I saw them doing is something akin to what I called out with the left. Was like the left when Colin Powell died specifically. What I took exception to was that they lifted up all the casualties of war when Colin Powell was at various stages of leadership within the government, within the military, right? Joint Chiefs of Staff and all that other stuff. With the Bush administration, they lifted up the casualties of war. And my argument was like, do you really care about that loss of life? To me, the loss of life was used to score points against political opponents on Twitter. That's how I viewed some of the tweets, not all of them, who raised the issues around how they struggle with mourning Colin Powell and American imperialism, right? Thank you so much, B-Man. I appreciate you so much. Y'all are so crazy. Y'all are so amazing. But when I saw the right kind of do that with the, seize on the Alec Baldwin thing, I'm like, this is kind of crazy. And we talking about a lot of people from Working Girl. He's in there too. Alec Baldwin. But random. But yeah, I just think that, people are using certain things for different reasons. And with the Colin Powell issue, though, the left was largely trying to keep it a political argument. Again, I think that some people were using the casualties of war in a gross way to score points against people who are either more moderate or just right of them. And I'm like, do you really care about those casualties? Because why would you use that just to make this other point about how you think Colin Powell ain't shit, right? And the same thing with this one young woman dying. I see the right using her death now. The way they're using Kyrie. They stormed the Barclays Center. Like, they stormed a basketball game to protest. It's not the Nets. It's the state of New York. Why aren't you in Albany? It's the state of New York. It ain't even de Blasio. It's the state of New York. Like, why don't you, if you're going to, I'm not advocating storming anything, but damn. Right. But the way that people take certain things in the headlines and spin them to their own advantage, I'm peeping game on both sides is my point. I'm peeping game on both sides. So anyway, I said all that to say, please support Truth Out. You read Truth Out, read The Intercept, especially this podcast right here. This was good. If you don't want to read it, go ahead and if you don't want to listen, go ahead and read it. Other source this week, Kirsten Sinema.
See now, I'm Amy Goodman. During a CNN town hall Thursday night, President Biden defended his domestic agenda, but acknowledged key aspects of his Build Back Better plan are in jeopardy due to two Senate Democrats, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Senator Kirsten Sinema of Arizona. With the Senate evenly split, Biden needs support from both of them to pass the plan through the reconciliation process. Biden's initial proposal called for $3.5 trillion over 10 years to vastly expand the social safety net and combat the climate crisis. But after facing opposition from Manchin and Sinema, Biden has reportedly lowered the top-line price tag on the package to $1.75 trillion, half the original bill. Manchin, who has millions of dollars in the coal industry in West Virginia, has also demanded Democrats strip out funding for the Clean Electricity Performance Program, a critical climate initiative to replace coal and gas-fired power plants with renewable energy sources. On Thursday, CNN's Anderson Cooper questioned Biden about health care provisions in the bill.
One of the other things that Democrats are looking to
I'm keeping an eye on this chat. I'm keeping an eye.
Do is to expand Medicare to include dental.
Who is this with this crazy name? Who is this with this crazy name? I'm not even gonna say it. You said, well, I will say that I have a limited experience with this, but I visited the U.S. and thought the news channels were weird. Agree. Like each show, like Fox, et cetera, was so obviously politically affiliated. I mean, y'all got that over there too, though. Well, I don't know where you over there is. Phil. Let me see. And Phil, you came back at Jessica. You said Scotland. Don't get me wrong. BBC is absolutely like that. Yep. But I felt U.S. shows are more up front. Yeah. Maybe it's good. I don't know. What's up, Joy? What you say, Joy? Yeah. After the strike didn't happen. Mm-hmm. All right, let me let this play.
Vision and hearing as well. Given all the negotiations that are going on, will all three of those still be covered?
That's a reach. And the reason why it's a reach, it's not this, I think it's a good idea. And it's not that costly in real.
So this is the thing. I didn't have to cajole. I didn't have to convince. I didn't have to get up on no soapbox on Wamala. Me and my mom spent all Saturday together. She was over here. And we were watching like random shit. Actually making her watch mic'd up. Watch the live stream playback. She loves them. She thinks I'm like big time. She's so crazy. I think because I'm on we're watching it on my TV. Anyway, so I'm watching them with my mom, and she just like she's very pro. She's Obama. She's an Obama Democrat. I'm gonna call it that. She and my dad, Obama can't do no wrong. There's literally more Obama pictures in the house than there are of me, her darling youngest daughter, but whatever, right? And so when Biden got elected, I couldn't say anything critical in that house without like, right? I couldn't say anything critical about Obama about Biden in the house. And she just like let out like, I'm real disappointed in Joe Biden. Like she's very disappointed at like what she's seeing is a constant compromise, constant. Apologies to both left and right Twix. Oh no, your mother sees. No, she doesn't see all of it. No, everyone keeps saying, "Is your mom on you cursing?" She does not like me cursing, but I got it from right Twix. Like my mama's left Twix. I got it from right Twix. I can't help it. Like my dad swears like a son of a bitch. Like. He's not that. I shouldn't have said that. But he swears a lot. Growing up, I just got it. But anyway, I'm watching it, and she's just very, 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 very put off by Joe Biden and what she like I said, what she views as constant compromise and moving a goal line back just to accommodate Sinema and Manchin. She really is frustrated by that.
Relative terms, especially if we allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. But here's the thing. Mr. Manchin is opposed to that, as is, I think, Senator Sinema is as well.
Opposed to all of them?
Opposed to all three, because they don't want, he says he doesn't want to further burden Medicare.
Biden also talked more about Senator Sinema's opposition to his domestic agenda.
She's smart as the devil, number one.
We watched this
Number two, She's very supportive of the environmental agenda.
That's good to hear,
in
Kia.
my legislation. Very supportive.
Or
she's supportive of almost all the things I mentioned relating to everything from family care to all those issues. Where she's not supportive is she says she will not raise a single penny in taxes on the corporate side and/or.
They should be out there on this chick. Every news cycle, every Dem should be on this chick. She should be feeling pressure. He should be withdrawing any type of support that really helps her or her reelection. He's got things he can threaten them with. He's got things that some incentives. We'll call them incentives. He has incentives that he is yet to really tap into, to really put her in and put her in check. He does have it. I want y'all to understand that there's things. He's the president of the United States. Just like you see the right censuring, just like you see the right taking Liz Cheney's, her privileges and whatnot, snatching them shits. You see the right do it all the time. You see how they keep people like that. We criticize the hell out of that. Why they're doing it is horrible, but let me tell you, they do it. They keep people in line. Like for the most part, unless you're really powerful or really like savvy, you got like a district where you can kind of like wild out and shit like that and do your thing and not really face the compromise, the consequences of Trump bullshit. But like let me see what y'all saying. Kia, I got you. I already knew where you stood on Obama. It's okay. You love Barry. Jessica, you said earlier, I'm that friend that's all yes, ma'am, but then start cursing. Exactly the same. I'm telling you, when we're gonna do our ancestry.com. All right, we need to get you and your mom. We do, for real. They probably enjoy each other. My mom is real quiet and shy though. I think the thing that made Obama appealing to folks is what Phil. You say you from Scotland. Shout out. What time is it over there? You said I think the thing about Obama made him appealing to talk to folks. That he was younger, definitely. He exudes charisma for sure. Trump and Biden and Bush just kind of waffle on it a bit, kinda. But no, Trump had whatever. Not my type, not my favorite flavored chip. But like Trump had some flavor that people found appetizing. Ugh, kid, you said I call Cinema's office every other week. You keep calling. That's right. They never. I'm sure that's all right. Keep calling from 843 area code. Keep calling. Keep calling seriously. Like, why not? El Cool J, you went on to say, I think a lot of people have given Biden a pass, but damn, literally, I think that's how my mom don't curse, but I think that's how she felt. That's what I felt, El Cool J. It's like, damn, we put you, we knew you had to stabilize some shit. We knew it was going to be hard. You can't just come in after a Trump presidency and assume that it's just going to be like, 08 or 2012. Like, there was no way, right? It was not going to be business as usual, but damn. Can you act like you got power? Can you act like you got the House? Can you act like you got the Senate? Can you act like you got the presidency? Like, come on. I'm telling you, he's not keeping them aligned on purpose. This is part of it. This is part of it, right? El Cool J, your comment went on to say, where's the tough guy he promised, right? No malarkey. Where that dude at? Right. Yes, I'm so tired of this high road bullshit. And it's just fake. It's almost 2 p.m. over there. Okay. That's good. It's not bad. You think is it Eli Mistial? I don't know how to say his last name. I don't watch him enough. I know what he looks like. Afro, headphones like mine, black guy. He gives a good explanation of what Biden needs to do with Cinema and Mansion. Okay. Hey, Charlie the Brit, it's good to see you. We got Phil from Scotland, right? I ain't gonna say your whole name, Phil. All right. What does it taste like? Bud Light lime. that Trump flavor. Oh, you know what it tastes like? Oh, please let me find. Oh, I don't even know. Did I save it? Wait, I'm gonna find it on my Instagram. I'm gonna find it. Oh my God, this shit had me dying. Let me see. I can tell you what Trump tastes like. Let me let some other clips play. So let's go ahead and swerve awkwardly. The name was funny for like 2 minutes. When I changed it, now I'm locked in for a while. That's what you get. Oh man. Let me see if I can find this thing. So let's segue to Nancy. So Nancy's doing this thing where she can get a lot of headlines based off like issues that are not even top 100 of her district's priorities, but she has this really uncanny ability of doing it. Let's watch this piece first. Raskin on Bannon's delay tactics. We won't tolerate whatever. So this is the Bannon issue. Then we're going to segue into Nancy Mace talking about her Bannon vote, at least in the state newspaper written by Caitlin Bird. Let's just watch this a little bit for a second.
A Democrat of Maryland who serves on the select committee.
I like Raskin. He just feels like a warm oatmeal raisin cookie, and just like a wholesome, probably decent guy. I gotta look at his voting record, but I like him.
Investigating
this as a person.
6th, which
Don't
issued
pillory
that
me.
subpoena Steve Bannon last month. Today's vote came down, I would say, roughly where I thought it was, although if I had to give an over-under, probably a few more Republican votes than I would have guessed. What did you think?
Yeah, there were definitely more Republican votes than I was expecting, given that Kevin McCarthy was whipping the vote very hard to try to get everybody, on the side of not issuing the criminal contempt referral for Bannon. And so I was pleased to see there were both a number of people on the Republican side who had voted to impeach Donald Trump, also in this group, but there were also some new ones like Nancy Mace from South Carolina, who is my counterpart on the Oversight Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. And she just said she believes in the rule.
Ain't that crazy? I'm gonna rewind that. And this is the thing, like, as much as like people really respond negatively to Nancy, I think I need to at least distill the information a little bit she got some really, this is what investment looks like. I'm sure a lot of this help came after she won. A lot came while she was running too. But when she was able to secure a victory in this district, in this congressional one, she got investment. People started pouring into her. And now she's waffled now. We ain't forgetting. She's going back and forth from trying to what the strategy looked like. But she putting in work is my point. I just want to acknowledge that. She putting in work.
There were both a number of people on the Republican side who had voted to impeach Donald Trump, also in this group, but there were also some new ones like Nancy Mace from South Carolina, who is my counterpart on the Oversight Subcommittee on Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. And she just said she believes in the rule of law. And how can Congress with a straight face go forward and ever issue subpoenas again if we're not going to stand by our subpoenas? So more power to these people who stood by the rule of law.
Yeah, Nancy Mace statement basically making the point, which I thought is a good one, is, look, if you have a privilege you want to assert, an immunity you want to assert, you got to come down and assert it.
No, but then like I put in my stories this weekend, Nancy Mace talked about executive privilege. Like, Bannon don't even have executive privilege. Like, that legal argument is a stretch. Like, he don't even have that. So to me, it just shows you that like she's being strategic about this, about where she jumps in there. And like, of course, corporate media loves letting the broke clock be, they love talking about how right the broke clock is twice a day, but they don't really like hold her. Like, they should have talked about what she's kind of been opposed to some things, at least in my estimation. So what got me hyped was this, because I thought this was bullshit. I thought this right here was bullshit. It's not bullshit because, first of all, I care about animals.
Reading a letter.
I care about animals.
I am reading a letter to Dr.
But the bullshit part is the Anthony Fauci part, kind of. It's a valid issue. It's a real issue. I didn't know how real it was until I did my digging, which was Google, and also going to Twitter, seeing everyone from Glenn Greenwald, libertarian, frustrating, Glenn Greenwald, seeing everyone from him to Vanity Fair talk about this, and I'm like, oh, hold up, what is this?
Dr. Fauci.
So this is important. We're going to get to Caitlin Bird's piece, but this is important to see this part, like what she's doing at the same damn time.
regarding the abuses of beagles under the NIH, where they are abusing with taxpayer dollars experiments on beagles. It's heartbreaking to hear about the experiments done on animals and dogs, in particular this one with beagles, where their vocal cords are cut out and they're silenced when they're going through this abuse and this drug testing.
Said trigger warning.
Fauci and the NIH is using almost $2 million on these beagle experiments, where 44 puppies have been debarked, so their vocal cords have been cut out so they can't be heard, and then they are killed and dissected. And there are many different alternatives to this kind of abusive animal testing that are out there. And we certainly shouldn't be using federal dollars, taxpayer dollars, for these kinds of experiments in federal labs.
So she was able to, her team, so this whole dogsagainstfauci.org, her team was able to suss out this issue. So I'm more interested in the issue, right? And I think I got it queued up right here. I think. See if it's behind a paywall. It's behind some fucking ads. All right, here it is. In major shift, NIH admits funding risky virus research in Wuhan. So this is about Wuhan. Let me see. Hold up. So this is the thing where the right, I didn't mean to do that. Where the right has found, like with the Wuhan League, I'm not even getting into, I can't even wrap my mind around it. Let me just keep it real. Know where I'm not, Oh my God, please stop. This is not even the piece. I'm gonna go to Twitter in a second. Cause I think I saw specific, but basically, well, no, this is it. Well, there's one of this. So basically, what Mace did was, tying Fauci, and he is connected to the NIH, right? Let me just, but anything that Rand Paul jumps on, that is completely politically motivated and not really caring about the actual issue at the crux of it. They just happen upon something pretty substantive, right? So a spokesperson for Dr. Fauci says that he's been entirely truthful, but a new letter belatedly acknowledging the National Institute of Health support for virus-enhancing research adds more heat to the ongoing debate over whether a lab leak could have sparked the pandemic, right? And we know that a lot of this, whatever truth is within this story, that the QAnon faction has taken bits and pieces. They cherry pick information and turn it into conspiracy theory. That's the tough thing about conspiracy theories, is that there always is a nugget of truth in a lot of these things. I say that with stereotypes and conspiracy theories, there's always like this nugget of truth. Let me go to my likes. Let me see if I hit like on it. Sorry for making that noise. No. But Nancy, so when I did a Google real quick, I did a Google of Nancy Mace and hit the news tab, and you see that she's got all these headlines, right? Not about any pressing issues in District 1, but about this. So lawmakers demand answers from Fauci on allegedly experimenting on puppies, right? Scroll down, Dr. Anthony Fauci is facing demand from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to divulge information regarding the alleged use of experimental drugs on puppies, or of an experimental drug on puppies. Democratic and Republican lawmakers sent a letter Friday to President Joe Biden and the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, requesting that they share information regarding the alleged infection of 44 beagle puppies with parasites in order to test an experimental drug on them, right? So this is, The Hill reported this. I think I had that up. Let me see. So yeah, this was the story. Bipartisan legislators demand answers from Fauci on cruel puppy experiments. So valid issue. And again, trigger warning, content warning for those who are really disturbed by the images of animals being experimented on, which I do think is cruel and disgusting. But again, looking at it from not trying to take away from the horrific details, but just looking at it as a political strategy for Nancy Mace, she's really good at this. Like, she's really good at finding these issues that have bipartisan support and whatnot. So when you go back to, let me click backwards, right? And I got y'all in the chat. Let me see. when you Google Nancy Mace, right? I wanted to get more. You got this too, right? Axios did this 3 days ago. This is very recent. This is very glowing. This is the Post and Courier piece. So 2 days ago, I think Thomas Novelli did this piece. I'm gonna click on that too. Out of expediency, I'm not gonna use for expedience, I guess, whatever the word is. I'm going to not use my library card to access both Post and Courier and the state newspapers reporting, right? She's also co-sponsoring this bill to end veteran homelessness. I didn't play it earlier, but that's worth mentioning as well. Again, something that's easy to defend, something that's easy to get out there and get a lot of screen time on. What I really trying to do, and you see also too, Nancy Mace, she got look, she's doing. This is how you stay relevant. This is how you do it. Like you just keep out. You just keep it, and it's almost like you do the work in the media almost exclusively, right? Do a lot of work to get in front of a camera almost exclusively, right? But if you do, I'm gonna do Nancy Mace and Fitz News, right? So right here, let me see. Yeah, Fitz News, one word. Okay. So these are the headlines from Fitz News about Nancy Mace. And this is a conservative rag here in in South Carolina. It's very well done. Will knows what the fuck he's doing. He's not putting out shoddy work. He's just putting out shitty work. There's a distinction. Nancy Mace votes with Democrats. See how she did that? See how he did that? Nancy Mace votes with Democrats to hold former Donald, I'm not going to click on it, but y'all get it, right? Steve Bannon. So this was 2 days ago. And then Will is part of the machine that's trying to drum up the opposition and give credibility to the opposition that's mounted against Nancy Mace, right? So conservative group takes aim at Nancy Mace, yada, yada, yada. Nancy Mace may be struggling, right? So, yeah. So Nancy Mace gets early, right? She got a little, they gave her that, but they really are critical. I think they try to appear down the line, down the middle of the road on her, but Fitz News is actively working to unseat her and to support her opposition, in my opinion, right? But she just has this uncanny ability to get on these stories. It's very strategic, and I would offer that. I would offer up to anybody who's aspiring to win an election. They don't need to do this because a lot of this is theater, but it helps. So like a little dose of this wouldn't hurt any campaign, any elected or any aspiring elected official. So this piece was written, and again, I shared this on Instagram in my stories, and I can't really read the comments right now, y'all. I'm trying to keep up, but I'm trying to stay on target as well. So Senator, this is written, I shared this in my stories. South Carolina Nancy Mace joins Democrats in a vote to hold Steve Bannon in contempt of Congress, right? And I screenshotted bits and chunks of this as I read it. Yeah, so it goes on to say, U.S. Rep. Nancy Mace was the lone South Carolina Republican Thursday to join House Democrats in voting to hold former White House aide Steve Bannon in contempt of Congress for his refusal to cooperate with its investigation into the deadly January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. We're going to compare this to Thomas Novelli's piece, or I think it's Thomas Novelli. The final vote was 229 to 202, with Mace being one of just 9 Republicans who voted for the resolution. The vote puts the freshman lawmaker from South Carolina Coastal 1 District at odds with House Republican leadership, including Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Republican Whip Steve Scalise. Both of them endorsed Mace in her 2020 bid for Congress. It also puts Mace in the minority of her own party and at odds with her 5 fellow South Carolina Republican House members in their home state congressional delegation, all of whom voted against the measure, right? So this is going to give her the air of being, I think the right loves Maverick. I think they like that term. I've seen CNN try to call Sinema. They had dumbass, what's his name on CNN? Smear Kanish. He was like 2 weeks ago, was it? He was calling Sinema a fucking maverick. I'm like, Smear Kanish, shut the fuck up. Why does CNN feel like they need to have a moderate conservative on there? Like, Smear Kanish, go choke on a hoagie in Philly. Like, get out of here. Anyway, I think this is her attempt. This is Nancy Mace's attempt on coming off of being like trying to be a maverick herself. trying to do the right thing and vote for the right issues and whatnot. It's an interesting wager. Let me read a little bit more and then I'm gonna transition to the Post and Courier's piece. Right. So she said here in explaining her vote, the Daniel Island Republican said by phone from Washington that her yes vote was about protecting the investigative and subpoena powers of Congress. This isn't rocket science. I love when people say that. There's complexity in all of this, but go ahead and simplify it for us, Nancy. This isn't rocket science. It's actually pretty simple, Mace said. It's crazy because then she started to provide a reasoning behind it, and then that sounded convoluted, right? Mace, who in January was appointed to the influential House Oversight and Reform Committee, said that her vote was about not letting partisan politics get in the way. And remember, this is her tagline: not letting partisan politics get in the way of precedent. I want the ability to investigate and have subpoena power in the future, and I don't want to water that down in the future. This is an interesting quote. I know I'm not the best talker sometime, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna have my talking points right, you know what I mean? If I'm I'm a freshman, Congress member. But anyway, she says this: I want the ability to investigate and have subpoena power in the future, and I don't want it watered down. I don't want to water that down in the future because there are things I'm going to want to investigate. It goes both ways, right? This is a bipartisan issue, May said, right? She stuck the landing, but damn it, it was wobbly in the air. All right. Then it goes on to say, but the partisan split over ban and subpoena and over the committee's ongoing investigation was on full display in the final vote. We saw how it went down, party lines, right? But then I want us to get to that other quote where she talks about executive privilege. Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Right here. Okay, so let me read the preceding paragraph first. It says Bannon missed a scheduled deposition with the special panel last week and has ignored requests by the committee to produce requested materials. He cited a letter from Trump's lawyer that directed him not to answer questions, and like Trump, Bannon has claimed executive privilege. So this to me shows the lack of understanding of perhaps of the maneuvering from Nancy Mace. She's got really good strategy. She got really good advice. But this part is where, this attempt wasn't too great. Mr. Bannon has the right to invoke executive privilege. He doesn't. I don't think he does. I'm not a lawyer, but you know what I mean? I'm just saying. Evoke executive privilege. He doesn't have it though. Like, dude, you left your position in 2017. But he should do that before the committee, she's saying. He doesn't have that. I think that's what she probably should have left that a little bit more vague, right? And it says the two Republicans who joined Mace in voting for the measure serve on the special congressional committee that is investigating the January 6th insurrection. U.S. Rep. Liz Cheney of Wyoming. That's not a coincidence, right? That's not a coincidence. It's interesting. It's interesting because she voted to strip Liz of her powers and her duties and whatnot, her committee stuff. But it's interesting what they're doing. But just like Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham, there is a calculation that certain Republicans make on which stance they'll take. Like Tim Scott has to come out as adamantly opposed to anything the Biden administration puts out there. Anything. He's going to have these really fugazi arguments out here about why you should oppose that legislation. Now that was the state. That was Caitlin Byrd. Let's get to the Post and Courier. They love Axios was like, I didn't even read this, but Axios is like, Republicans who put it all on the line. They love a dramatic picture of Nancy Mace. I guess she benefited from that what do you call that? With the magic hour with the sunlight. She was outside. Axios is full of shit. All right. The Republicans who put it all on the line. Like this picture right here. Can y'all see the thumbnail? Like making it look like, furrowed brow, sun in her eyes, glaring through the bullshit to get to calm down. All right, let's get to Post and Courier. They use the same picture. Post and Courier used this picture. The state used the picture too. But again, that matters. Why, Mika? Why are you making it up? Why are you bringing it up, Mika? That's trivial. No, that's what matters, right? Oh, this is an opinion piece. Okay. Oh, she wrote it. Oh, so she okayed this picture. She wanted this picture used then. Okay. So she wrote this, Mace, my vote wasn't about Steve Bannon. I'm not here to make friends on this season of the real congressional bullshit. I don't know, whatever. I'm not here to make friends. Did I ask this already? She not, what fruit or vegetable is she holding? If she was on a reality show with other Republican women, like, no, she'd be on there, like, it'd be her, Cinema. Who else? Neera Tanden. Neera. It'd be Nancy, Neera, Kirsten. Maybe some interesting characters up there. I'm trying to think of some interesting characters that be on that show. Like on that hypothetical show. I got you in the chat. I'm gonna read a pineapple. She might. It's South Carolina. That's Charleston. She might hold a pineapple. I'm not here to make friends. In her pineapple. Vote wasn't about Steve Bannon. It was about Congress. So this is also important to understand. So she made sure that this was going to get published as well. I don't know why I thought Thomas Novelli wrote this. Well, I know why I thought. Right. So I'm just going to read a little bit of her own propaganda. We're not going to get. They love invoking Benghazi. She invoked it in the state piece with Caitlin Byrd. The House Special Committee to investigate Benghazi, and we know because Trey Gowdy. We get it. That's why she's using Benghazi, right? The House Special Committee to investigate Benghazi was created in the exact same manner as the January 6th committee, and the Benghazi committee subpoenaed civilians and members of the Obama administration. Even Secretary of State Hillary Clinton showed up to testify. We mean even. She wrote that for real. I'm not comparing the merits of those two committees. Okay. I'm not comparing the merits of those two committees. In fact, I don't think there's much merit to the... Wow, see, this is the bullshit. Oh, if I can find that damn skit. This is what she is. Like, oh, it sounds interesting. And then you taste it, you're like, ew, this is disgusting. It's just, oh, I wish I could find it. I'm going to look for it on Instagram all day tonight. And then whenever I come back on live, because it won't be tomorrow. I'm taking off till Election Day. Let me read the comments real quick because this is crazy. I know I'm ignoring y'all over here. But this is the kicker, though. I'm not comparing the merits of the two committees. In fact, I didn't think there was much merit to the January 6th committee, which is why I voted against creating it. So she's trying to straddle the fence here. 4 federal agencies and 10 congressional committees were already investigating the events of January 6th. We didn't need more. Fuck you. I've made some promises to the Low Country. I promised to protect patriot. Okay, we're not reading that. I can go to her website and get that. Yeah. Anyway. We're not reading that propaganda. But this is a very interesting week for Nancy. She's doing a lot to get in front of almost every camp. Who's this Marty Irby? Who's this?
Hi, Marty Irby with Animal Wellness Action here with Congresswoman Nancy Mace and
Animal Wellness Action in Charleston. Y'all know about this group? Animal Wellness Action.
Hi, Marty Irby with Animal Wellness Action here with Congresswoman Nancy Mace in Charleston, South Carolina. She's been a tremendous advocate for animals in Congress, leading on the FDA Modernization Act, on the Minks or Super Spreaders Act, and on the Opportunities for Fairness in Farming Act. Nancy, we really appreciate you so much.
Can't hear.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here with Marty and working very hard to protect animal rights. They're very important. And the crazy thing this year so far, of all the bills that we've brought to the floor of the House, not one of them are to protect animal rights. And it's a great issue for Republicans and Democrats to work on together. And I encourage everyone to reach out to Speaker Pelosi and have her bring some of these bills to the floor for a vote so we can get moving on it.
Yeah. And always bringing up Nancy's name, and Nancy ain't doing it. It's all that they're just words, buzz phrases that she feels is important to incorporate into some of these issues. Some of it is savvy, some of it is just whatever. It's just her just trying to get headlines. This was interesting. I don't know how much of this kind of was like, old girl, like whenever you have a former Trump administration official, I know old girl holds down a desk at the Hill's daily program, with the dude from the Intercept. What's his name? Tim. Is it Tim Ryan? Orion, what's his name, from The Intercept. I know old girl holds down the desk with that, and they're trying to have this, like, make sure they're balanced. They have balanced coverage from the progressive left and from the right. But anytime you have a former Trump comms member on there, to me, they were professional liars. They got paid to lie. So I didn't get whatever. But this is kind of, I'm just telling y'all that's who she is. But here we go.
Steve Bannon's fate is now in the hands of Attorney General Merrick Garland as he considers whether to proceed with criminal contempt charges against Bannon for defying a subpoena from the January 6th Select Committee. 9 House Republicans voted with all 220 Democrats in support of this move. This despite continued attempts by other Republican members to downplay the investigation.
We know what this is really about. This is about getting at President Trump.
Because they can't build back better, they've just decided to build back meaner. The Select Committee despises Steve Bannon's politics, so they're abusing their power to put him in jail.
Joining me now is former Republican Congressman and former presidential candidate Joe Walsh and Alyssa Farah. She is the former White House Communications Director for President Trump. Thank you so much to both of you for being here today. To you first, Joe, I mean, 9 Republicans, that's significant, but that's not many.
Oh, that's, Brianna, respectfully, that's nothing. I was thinking last night, I was a Republican from...
This dude right here, so y'all know who this is. He was an Obama birther. He was on some bullshit, and then like he said some repugnant shit about Obama, steeped in white supremacy, and the corporate media loves giving this dude a mic because he walked away. They love that story. I walked away from the Republican Party. They love that part about that added to the mythology of Colin Powell as well. But this dude is a whole garbage can. And old girl, like I said, she's former Trump comms team, but they're trying to get this like more, I guess, level-headed conservative response to this whole Bannon thing. But I think what she has to say was interesting when she starts to open her mouth. I don't know how much of everything else she has to say is something I would hang my hat on, but
My whole adult life, I left the party 20 months ago. The party no longer believes in truth, no longer believes in democracy. And yesterday, they just reaffirmed that they no longer believe in the rule of law. That's all this was. It wasn't about Bannon. Our government was attacked. Bannon was given a lawful subpoena. He defied it. But over 200 Republicans said they don't care.
But like Matt Gaetz is saying, this is mean. That's his defense. This is mean.
This is mean.
Well, the House Republicans essentially forfeited their right to oversight going forward. They're saying enforcing subpoenas just doesn't matter and holding people in contempt just doesn't matter. But the funny thing that your viewers should know is most House Republicans actually hate Steve Bannon. They just live in perpetual fear of him going after them on his podcast or his various different outlets. He's going to actually continue to be a thorn in the side of them going forward, which is funny. You know, if I were a Kevin McCarthy, I'd be worried about him trying to have somebody challenge me in leadership when Republicans.
So I thought this part right here is interesting. I think this is really important insight. I'm going to rewind it back to where she opens her mouth. Like, and I don't mean to say it like that, but when she starts talking, I want to rewind it here.
The House Republicans essentially forfeited their right to oversight going forward. They're saying enforcing subpoenas just doesn't matter and holding people in contempt just doesn't matter. But the funny thing that your viewers should know is most House Republicans actually hate Steve Bannon. They just live in perpetual fear of him going after them on his podcast or his various different outlets.
Jessica.
He's going to actually continue to be a thorn in the side of them going forward, which is funny. You know, if I were a Kevin McCarthy, I'd be worried about him trying to have somebody challenge me in leadership when Republicans take back the House. So I'm a little bit surprised to see them just so lining up behind him.
It's a very interesting point that you make. Now, Jim Banks, who was the last...
So that's a little inside baseball that I believe she is able to offer up, and that they really, just like Trump, they hated Trump, but they were held hostage because their constituencies love Trump. So they're in this tough spot where they had to embrace this repugnant figure, and not even repugnant because a lot of Trump's policies actually they agree with. They just didn't like how they didn't, a lot of from what I could glean, a lot of the establishment Republicans just really didn't like how, he wasn't a trustworthy, he was an unreliable actor. He was an unreliable voice, narrator, architect. Like, he was just so unreliable. And also he used tactics that really just upset everything and took away decorum and certain rules and regs. But the policy they fuck with. That's why they wanted him in office. That's why they didn't hold him accountable many times where they could have held him accountable. That's why, you know, they wanted the tax cuts. They wanted to stack the courts, federal courts, and of course the Supreme Court. They wanted all those things. That's over 40 years of them working to get to that point. They just had to deal with this you know, this crazy person. And that's why you have Mitch McConnell taking the stance he has since Trump lost the election and since the insurrection on January 6th. You see Mitch McConnell really like just like separating himself from the party. Hey, we're going in a new direction. Tim Scott's going to be the future. We just had this insurrection that looked like a bunch of white nationalists storming the Capitol, which that's what it was. Even the black and brown was in there. You can be a white supremacist and not be white. Hello, Candace Owens, right? So you just see them all kind of like adopting certain lines that kind of distance themselves from Trump because they want to get the power back. They don't really oppose Trump policies. They just oppose Trump's tactic and like he's trash. He's just trash. He's a trash person, right? Y'all lifting up some really important things in the chat. Hey, Evelyn, good morning. I'm just looking at the chat for like the first time in like an hour. Good morning. But yeah, kid, to your point, what about holding Matt Gaetz accountable, right? All right, so I wanted to talk about Nancy Mace, catch it up, and then now I want to kind of swing back to elections. Shout out to I'm telling you, I was trying to find that clip because Nancy Mace is the equivalent of this TikTok skit I saw with these like really nasty ice cream flavors. It's a comedian. It's a white comedian on Instagram, y'all. Maybe y'all can help me out. And he like does like sometimes he used to do these Disney skits. He would dress up like a Disney whatever and sing a lot. But he did this really funny skit this weekend. He did a skit where like he's at one of those hipster ice cream shops that have these really weird flavor combinations, like Jenny's Ice Cream sometimes does. I ain't gonna let, you know what I mean? And so like that to me is Nancy Mace. Like it's like one flavor you might fuck with, another flavor you're like, huh? And like sweet and savory, like a mashup. It was just funny. To me, that's Nancy Mace. She's like, you know, Diet Mountain Dew and, you know, cinnamon streusel. Like if that was a flavor, that would be her. So that's what I was trying to get to. But I'm gonna hop over to Stephen Bowden's Instagram. I don't know why I just Googled Instagram. I'm gonna hop over to Stephen Bowden's Instagram page. I'm gonna open up two windows. And because election day is approaching and Stephen was out there. Y'all heard last week with the update. You heard Stephen talk about, you know, how he's mollywopping his opponent in terms of fundraising. He's also, you heard him talk about how many, the thousands and thousands of doors he knocked on, right? So retail politics still matters. Retail politics is still key, still king. This is from this weekend. This is from a day ago. It says, Bowden for Charleston, takes a village. Thank you all who have volunteered countless hours, 10 more days to go. This is as of yesterday. Look at Kia. 10 more days to go. So it was really good to see that. It's really good to see, you know, out there knocking on doors. Let me see if I see any familiar faces. Which is a good thing, actually. That's a good thing. Yeah, he's doing his thing. So keep it up. Right? All right. So that just tells you, so 10 days ago, so I wanted to swing to the whole off-year elections. And so things to watch. We definitely want to watch what's going on in Jersey. Definitely want to watch what's going on in Virginia. And let's go ahead and hop into that right now.
Virginia's gubernatorial election is just 11 days away, and recent polls
get ready for it. Whatever Phil Murphy in New Jersey is going to win, but get ready for whatever losses. Get ready for the right to say this is a referendum on Biden and his unpopular policies, and the nation's just not happy and they're looking for a change. Get ready for that bullshit if the Dems lose these seats. And also get ready for if there's like a split, which I think it could be. If let's say Virginia goes red, Jersey stays under Phil Murphy, right? You're gonna hear the establishment Dems blame the progressives for Virginia's loss. That's what you can look forward to that shit.
Polls show that the two candidates are tied.
Oh, and I'm eating candy for breakfast. Half the time when y'all see me chewing, I'm eating candy. I'm sorry. You know, I need to grow the fuck up. But I love candy in the morning.
This is the first major electoral test of Biden's presidency. Democrat Terry McAuliffe is pulling out all the major stops with party politicians campaigning
right,
for
Jessica?
him, while Republican Glenn Youngkin is mostly speaking for himself. Joining me now with the latest on this.
Real quick, because Jessica asked, I'm eating Hershey's. It's Halloween. Okay, so my mom came over. And this is how I regress into a 12-year-old. Whenever I hang out with my mom, I just turn into 12-year-old Tamika. We went to Walmart for her. But I came home with cookies and cream Hershey's Halloween candy that's shaped like fangs. And what else she get me? Oh, Honey Nut Cheerios. She wanted me to have Honey Nut Cheerios. What else she give me? She gave me some other stuff, but I turned into a 12-year-old. I'm like, I'm gonna eat this candy. Me and her love candy. The only thing is I gain the weight. She really doesn't. Here we go. Virginia's gubernatorial race.
This race is Gregory Schneider. He is a staff writer at the Washington Post. Good to have you on the show. So President Biden won Virginia.
She bought me Pop-Tarts. Noah. She bought me Pop-Tarts. I couldn't remember what it was. She bought me Pop-Tarts too.
Virginia by 10 points just last year, and now the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor are tied. Explain to us, Greg, why the shift?
Well, thanks for having me, Lana. A big part of what's changed is who's in the White House now. With Donald Trump no longer in the White House, he'd been broadly unpopular across Virginia and had really inspired Democrats to come out in big numbers and had taken some suburban districts that had been red for a long time and tilted them over toward blue. And so Democrats have been winning by increasing margins over the 4 years of his presidency. So now, without Donald Trump in the White House, with some fatigue maybe among Democratic voters.
This is interesting.
The question is turnout on the Democratic side. And then at the same time, President Biden has had some setbacks this year.
Yep.
And his popularity.
So you got Biden fumbling and stumbling and bumbling. You got Trump in the office. You know, this is the biggest part. A while, I can't really organize in spaces that are predominantly white women led and white led, because a lot of folks will come out for Trump. Trump was the biggest, scariest thing, and not just white people, but this is usually that's usually it really was like that. Y'all made this man a boogeyman, but there are so many other policies and so many other Democrats to hold accountable as well, that we just don't see that a lot. And sometimes, I think that a lot of white folk were scared because Trump threatened and actually made good on taking away or infringing on rights and privileges that everyone enjoyed. And so I think white folks started to feel, especially white women who were really activated around the right to choose, Roe versus Wade, they saw impending doom. Whereas I think other people from various marginalized identities who identify as maybe like me, I'm cash poor black woman, right? Daughter of Jim Crow refugees. Trump wasn't the biggest. We done seen Trump in so many shit. You look at Bill Clinton, and this is not just me looking at having the hindsight 2020 shit. We saw the policies of Bill Clinton. We saw the policies of an Obama, 2 terms of Obama, 2 terms of Clinton. We've seen how their policies have impacted us. And I know I'm probably kind of convoluting a little bit, especially when I bring up Obama. My point is Trump was not the scariest thing that we've ever seen. Was he new? Was he a new remix version? Absolutely. Did he do frightening things that kept you disoriented every day? Absolutely. That was the cruelty was the point. The cruelty was a feature that he loved to exploit over and over and over again, calling Mexicans rapists and all other type of racist rhetoric. But Trump was not new to a lot of people. Some people either fled a country that had a Trump in office. And so that wasn't the only thing that was going to activate us, right? I think sometimes white voters specifically can be very singly focused. They had the luxury perhaps of supporting a single issue candidate or a single issue cause. For point of emphasis, I guess you could bring up Joe Cunningham. To me, he was a single issue candidate, and they let him flow. They just let him glide to glide through the primary, glide through election without asking him about other issues, and that turned out to be a liability. When you take the offshore drilling away from him, he couldn't stand on anything else, and so we don't have that luxury. And so anyway, I went on a big tirade about that, but this is actually going to impact turnout, and this is an off-year election, right? And let's go to a New Jersey source about off-year elections. I think that's important. I think y'all said, hey, Mika, can you play more clips from people holding it down in New Jersey? And I'm like, yeah, I can go to Jersey Matters, and this video that got 19 views, I think this is substantive, and you should hear from it. Here you go. Jersey Matters with Larry.
On this upcoming election day, the eyes of the nation will be on two races, the race for governor of New Jersey and the race for governor of Virginia. Both states hold off-year elections, which simply means there's no major federal election on the ballot. And the elections in both states are used to get a political temperature check as we head into next year's midterm election, when every House seat and 34 Senate seats are on the ballot. In New Jersey, incumbent Democratic Governor Phil Murphy is being challenged by Republican Jack Ciattarelli, a former assemblyman. And in Virginia, the Democrat is former Governor Terry McAuliffe, who is being challenged by Glenn Youngkin, a businessman, a former CEO of a private equity firm. In both races, the Democratic candidate had a healthy lead in the summer. But polls show that both races have tightened substantially. In Virginia now, the polls show it's a tie. The national parties are watching both of these races very closely for trends, not only in voting, but in issues. And an issue in both of these races is schools, school curriculum, and school mask mandates. For instance, in Virginia, the Republican Youngkin has been pounding the Democrat Terry McAuliffe over a comment he made in the last debate about schools.
I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
After that comment, the race then tied in the polls, and Youngkin's rallies now have overflow crowds. Nationally, the Republicans are taking notice that focusing on schools may be a winning issue, as we've seen at packed school board meetings across the country. Parents are passionate about what their kids are being taught and mask mandates. And the Democrats have noticed a voter backlash when race is used to attack a Republican opponent.
I'm glad you like it, Joey.
Do we stand with our sacred democracy, or do we stand with Confederate flags and white supremacists and a pack of lies? Do we stand? Do we continue? Do we continue to make the tough?
Oh, we know what part of Jersey.
That was Republican Governor Murphy in the final debate between him and Republican Ciattarelli.
No, that was Democrat.
There is no question that President Biden's sinking approval numbers and the problems the nation is having has an effect on these midterm elections, and will have even more of an effect on next year's midterms. Most of the national media focus has been on Virginia because it's a red state that is turning blue. As a matter of fact, for the first time in decades, they have a Democratic governor, a Democratic legislature, and 2 Democratic senators. New York Magazine, in a headline, asks if it's time for Democrats to panic about Virginia and the midterms. Politico answers they're already worried about Virginia. And the Washington Post, in a headline, says they are worried about a possible cascade of election troubles because of Virginia. New Jersey is not getting the same amount of national attention because even though the race is tightening, New Jersey is very much a blue state with 1 million more registered Democrats than Republicans. Still, off-year elections can come down to 2 things: turnout and passion. In 2017, when Phil Murphy was elected governor, only 38% of registered voters came out to vote. In 2013, when Republican Governor Chris Christie won re-election, it was only 35%, which is why the 2009 New Jersey gubernatorial election may be the one to look at, with incumbent Democratic Governor John Corzine being challenged by Republican former U.S. attorney.
That was a shit show. So I worked for the preceding administration, which was McGreevey. McGreevey had to leave because he got caught up in a torrid love affair with his, he's married with children at the time, with a child. But he got caught up. He made his boo the head of Homeland Security after 9/11 in New Jersey, made his boo head of Homeland Security. That blew up on his face. So McGreevey had to step down because he was caught up in this torrid scandal of him having an affair as a gay man and having to come out as gay. So McGreevey steps down. Here comes Corzine. Everybody was like, ooh, Corzine, ooh. At the time, John Corzine, at the time, he was dating the head of the very, very powerful teachers union. I remember that shit show, but he was just a mess. And then he got in a really bad car accident with someone I used to work with, one of his aides, which is weird that she was in the car with him. But anyway, so they got in this accident, got fucked up real bad. Anyway, he lost. That's who John Corzine is in New Jersey. That was my Jersey Minute. It just triggered some memories, not that many helpful ones for y'all, I'm sure. But Corzine was a Democrat, but he was a hot mess. Let me rewind it so y'all understand that. Because I know y'all like, how did we get Chris Christie for 2 terms? I said we. I am wearing a Jersey and South Carolina necklace, so I'm claiming both states today.
Be the one to look at, with incumbent Democratic Governor John Corzine being challenged by Republican former U.S. Attorney Chris Christie. It was Republican passion in that election that fueled a 47% turnout, and Chris Christie won. As it was in 2009, it very well may be in 2021. There was a brand new Democratic president, Barack Obama, and a Democratic-controlled House and Senate that pushed through a controversial health care bill nicknamed Obamacare. And that stoked a Republican backlash at the polls. The very next year,
so what's really interesting about this is like, so what are the parallels? And he kind of alluded to some of them. What are the things that people are going to galvanize? Like with Chris Christie, right? Chris Christie came in. Corzine was a hot mess. Big, millionaire, wealthy guy, whatever. Just was not a good fit. And so after the Corzine, whatever, here comes Chris Christie. But also what they didn't touch on, Chris Christie was like, he had bipartisan support. That's how he got to where he got to. When he was the attorney general for the state, I remember when I worked there, he was actually attorney general, and he had this reputation of really holding both sides accountable. That's how he got Jared Kushner's daddy locked up, which is so interesting how Chris Christie got into the Trump administration in the early days. I'm like, you in the administration and his son-in-law, you put his son-in-law's daddy in jail. But anyway, but Chris Christie was holding him accountable, like right and left. So he had a lot of credibility with both parties, and then he just started wilding out, and then of course Bridgegate and all that other bullshit. And he's a bully.
2010, the Republicans picked up 63 seats.
I digress. But what's going to be the issue? Is it going to be if Biden can't get this infrastructure bill passed? If there's any more missteps, the supply chain is the issue. Gas prices going up 13 cents. Here in South Carolina, I believe. I don't know if that was national or South Carolina. It was on Live 5 News this morning. Like, people's cost of living, the supply chain, Christmas, the pandemic. Like, Biden, I don't even know why he didn't make it rain on people. Just make it rain. Just give people fucking these loans about to pick up in December. I got the Navient letter in the mail. Like December, they about to start withdrawing money from my account. Like, yo, make it rain. Do something. But what's going to be the issue to activate Republicans? Because I think they've already started their organizing. And look, they're going to benefit from that whole jump, that bounce that happens. Like when the Democrats win the House and the presidency, blah, 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 blah. That means that there's usually a backlash. So a lot of it is not savvy organizing on the right, but it's just the way it bounces. And like he just mentioned, there's certain energy that can be stoked, and I think we've seen the right do that very, very effectively around the mask mandate issue, the vaccine hesitancy. Like, you've seen the right really get people fired up. But without Trump being in office, I want to see how that works. Just personally.
In the House, they won 7 Senate seats
bully.
and won 6 governor's races. Now you understand why the Democrats are so worried about this year's governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey, which is why the Democrats aren't taking any chances dispatching former President Obama and other top Democrats to both states to get out the Democratic vote. So yes, the focus of the country, and certainly everybody in Washington, D.C., will be on Virginia and New Jersey on Election Day, November 2nd.
And remember,
Republican wins could be an early forecast.
That looks horrible.
Of a red.
Or does it look like the Ocean Spray commercial? That looks horrible. Why would they use that? That looks like either red algae or like something biblical. that red crush wave. I'm trying to think Ocean Spray. But remember where we started. I just want to say that.
On this upcoming Election Day, the eyes of the nation will be on two races. The race for governor of New Jersey.
Well, anyway, I was always going to say, I forgot. It's an off-year election, right? So we stay in there real quick before I dip. We're going to stay there. Let's get to, let me see what people are saying. Okay, cool. Thank you for the support. All right, let's get to what I really wanted to talk about. Oh, let me get that later. All right, I really want to talk about what, girls, you don't just go to your damn tweets. Stop playing. Right here. So shout out to Sam Spence with Sam Spence with the city paper, Charleston City Paper. And again, that's why I brought up Stephen Bowden. The race, less than 10 days. Now we're at day 9. Day 9 days away from the election here in City Council, 16 days away from my birthday, which is not an election, but worth noting here, November 10th. I'll be 41 savage. All right, off-year elections give half of Charleston City Council low-key path to victory, right? And this is also, like Larry alluded to in his piece, this is also one to watch, right? All right, it says, you and a few friends could easily swing one of this year's Charleston City Council election this year. And like the city, like I ain't seen Post and Curry do what they need to do with this, with promoting this election more. This year, half of Charleston City Council will be elected or re-elected by a few hundred people who show up at the polls November 2nd. Shout out to Kia who got her ballot early. Gang, gang. It says you weren't one of the few who punched a Charleston ballot in 2017. Don't worry, most people didn't, but you've got another chance this year, so listen up, right? I don't know why he wrote it like that. That's kind of weird sounding. Anyway, the fact is that if you and your buddies live in West Ashley, downtown, or James Island, there's at least an 85% chance that each of y'all didn't vote in the last city council election. Using y'all liberally. Okay. All right. Assuming, of course, they're all registered to vote. Municipal elections in Charleston County are held in odd-numbered years, which means local races in Mount Pleasant, Somerville, North Charleston, Charleston, and elsewhere are usually elected when there's nothing else on the ballot. Off-year elections have some advantages, but are not without trade-offs. So that's going to be low voter turnout. People not knowing who these candidates are, right? This might have been one of the reasons how we got Harry Griffin instead of Summer. It says yes, it does. Has trade-offs, right? Yes, it does. It does let candidates debate local issues without competing against statewide or presidential candidates. But yeah, you're not going to get the turnout. They should hold all these elections at the same goddamn time. They really should. They should hold them all at the same damn time. That means campaigns can cost less, making it easier maybe for candidates to run without having to pay consultants. But you can argue that too. If it's a national election, you might not have to spend as much if you can get a lot of earned media, or if you can just kind of ride the wave and be in certain rooms. You probably can drive down costs if it's a national race and kind of just be a part of a coalition and whatnot. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's important. It's important to really get the word out about. This was written September 15th, but it's even more critically important to lift it up today on October 25th. It's really important that people get out the vote. And if you know someone who's registered, who did everything before, the National Registration Day, who's ready to vote, if their district is up this year, this is the time to get them activated and share information. And stay engaged with this process, because we're going to see a number of elections really impact us here locally, even if we don't think it does. But people are just really less locked in. I wanted to just go ahead and I'll sign off with this next tidbit. And again, I'm going to take a couple days break, come back around Election Day. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it ain't like I might come in, I don't know, but I'm going to take some days off and come back around Election Day and figure out what kind of coverage, like either like breaking news, like who won what, or something else. But I wanted to lift this up too. Shout out to Crystal Matthews. Looks like I Googled her name because I already knew Tim Scott. I had Tim Scott stuff already queued up and know it's easy to find his stuff, right? So this article is, again, we've been tracking this for a couple of months now. This one, this was published 10/13. So this is after the other update I did, a couple months ago. So Tim Scott rakes in $8.3 million for his reelection and possible 2024 bid, which is what you really need to watch for, is that, right? Is the 2024 bill. I don't know what Nimrata gonna do, but she better come up with a plan, because this number right here is ridiculous. Is offensively, it's offensive and impressive, right? The South Carolina senator has become one of the Republican Party's most prolific fundraisers. He's horrible on camera, but he's a prolific fundraiser. But both he and Nancy are benefiting from a lot of institutional support. And it's important that we jump out there. Let me see something. Yeah, he's a prolific fundraiser.
Proverbs 18:21 reminds us.
Ugh. I'm sorry, single man quoting Proverbs and shit all the time. Sorry,
Proverbs 18:21.
Sorry, single church going man. I'm trying to rewind it. Sorry, single church going man. I just think that's weird.
Reminds us that death and life are in the power of the tongue.
What?
Proverbs 18:21 reminds us that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Each word we speak is a container of power. It's one of the reasons why when I hear politicians talking about voting rights and comparing where we are today with where we were more than 50 years ago in the Jim Crow South.
No. In my mom and my parents and your parents' lifetime, this is a horrible angle. I don't know why he just didn't prop it up in the. I don't know what he's doing, but I would have called a receptionist, like, just hold the phone, Betty. Just hold the phone. I already hit record. Am I in frame? Betty, am I in frame? Hold this phone. Record me now. Let me stop.
It makes my stomach ache, because I believe that we need to protect each person's right to vote. But we should never pretend that where we are today is where we were yesterday, 50 years ago. In other words, when you look at the South, we have changed so dramatically.
We have
that, frankly, the highest turnout of African Americans voting was in 2018, only exceeded by 2020. We have made tremendous.
Wait a minute, Tim. It wasn't your side doing that, because your side is trying to suppress the vote. In fact, in 2012, motherfucker, your Republican counterparts helped bring about ID laws to making it harder for residents to vote, making it harder for people. Hello, like my mom and my dad, thankfully they have a birth certificate, but they were born at home to midwives. And so many other South Carolinians and other people in similar states don't have birth certificates, so they can't participate in elections. After having spent their whole lives voting in elections, they can't do it because you and your peers made sure to roll back voter laws and enact voter ID laws. So turnout wasn't your side. You can't sit there and claim turnout victories when your party are the key architects, and I see y'all popping off, the key architects of voter suppression. And I love how they have a black man out here. This is the bullshit. I love how they have a black man out here telling you, oh no, y'all, look, y'all masters ain't as bad as the other masters. I know the other masters used to whip you and not feed you. Well, these masters make sure you get the best leftover clothes, and they only whip you once, only if you do this, that, and the. Like, that's how you sound. Stop telling people to have better masters. Stop telling people, stop telling constituents, stop telling black people to have better masters. We don't need any masters. And that the way that Tim Scott has gone, and get granted, he's enjoying the superstardom that he's probably never had. He's probably never had this type of influence. He's probably never had this type of cachet, credibility. He's definitely never had this much support. He's never been flued out to Hawaii to go. Well, he had to fly himself out there, I'm sure. But he ain't never flued out to Hawaii to fundraise, you know, multi-millionaires and billionaires, right? You know, you got Anita Zucker's, you know, but I know that was old news, but I'm sure they still in communication. I'm sure. Their circles cross. I'm sure influence and money and Doha. Take a sip. I'm sure the Doha's in the mix there somewhere, right? Right? But it's crazy how he allows himself to be tokenized, and I'm sure it's because he's getting all this recognition and all this investment, but he's being used as a tool to give the party more cover when it comes to race issues, because they've been, you come out of 40 years of Trump, you got to do something about race and your party's issue with race. But now we're seeing the rise of the conservative black person. I would never put him in the Candace Owen category, but he's not. They different branches on the same tree. Let's just say that they different branches on the same tree. But you're gonna see this wide array of black conservatives: Herschel Walker, Candace Owens, Tim Scott. They're not really impressive, but they hit their marks and they got their talking points down pat. It's crazy. And how you can be from the South and say this shit is crazy.
In this progress, this is not the Jim Crow South. This is not a Jim Crow era where you had to know the number of jelly beans in a jar in order to be able to vote.
So why would you? I can't even I don't know why I keep shifting like this. I'm just trying to.
Only to pollute today's waters with inconsistencies, nonsense, and flat out
So he's talking about the poll test that used to take place. Like you had to guess how many jelly beans was in the jar. You had to guess how many bubbles is in a bar of soap. You had to do all this crazy shit to vote. Yeah, of course, Tim. Y'all have gotten more sophisticated with your suppression, Tim. Right? So stop it. And the way that Tim is tokenized is similar to how like Governor Abbott over in Texas, a man with a disability, it might be like, oh, well, no. Don't let the wheelchair like anesthetize you or like put you in this false state. He's just as vicious. Look at him. So the way that Tim Scott is in favor of policies that restrict access to the ballot to black and brown people, that's how Abbott is. In terms of making voting more accessible, a lot of things that he rolled back in Texas would make voting more accessible to people who have varying disabilities, right? So you see how you see how the Republicans are using identity, but they're using it in a very perverse way to have, hey, if we can have people who might, someone like Nimrata, someone like Tim, someone like Abbott, people with these things that, that signal maybe left or something like that. You might think, oh, Indian, brown, even though I don't do that. I don't make that calculation, but some people do. Right. And they're using these identities that the left has been more successful at leveraging, I would say that, in terms of advancing policies for Americans with disabilities, in terms of being the architects of policies that supposedly is supposed to address civil rights issues and voter disenfranchisement. The right is taking that now and like giving you a bizarro world version of like, hey, what if we had these people from these groups actually act against their own interest? That's what they're doing. I know I went and looked all over the world a little bit, but that's what they're doing. I know I didn't even drink my Doha drink. We say Doha, we take a little swig or whatever you drinking. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, of course it's not bubbles like y'all saying in the chat. Of course it's not bubbles in a bar of soap and jelly beans. It's more stealth than that, right? Of course, Tim. Oh, how can you compare it to Jim Crow? How can you, just shut up. But yeah, he's raised a lot of money. I guess Crystal's mentioned in this piece. Shout out Crystal. She and I had a quick conversation, not too much about her campaign, but we had, who's Nick Reynolds? We had a quick conversation. So this headline from the Post and Courier, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott suddenly becomes Senate's second leading fundraiser, right? This is a picture to see if we've seen any familiar faces. Nope. All right. Let me look for Crystal's name real quick. Let me hit find because she's in here somewhere. Then I'm a dip. Here she goes. All right, heavily favored to win re-election bid in 2022. Scott faces no prospect of a challenge from his right flank in the early days of the race and holds a massive fundraising advantage over Democrats Crystal Matthews and state lawmaker from Ladson, Angela Jeter, I want to say. Spartanburg County Democratic Party chair. I forgot she was running. But yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate truth of the race is that there's no way that Crystal and I haven't seen them really make a dent into like the ad space or like name ID. But they need to keep running and keep running your race, ladies. Keep doing your thing. But I mean, this man has raised another $8 million. Like, how much was the total? Yeah. Wait. Okay, here it is. At the start of 2020, Scott seemed poised to do much of the same after a slow 3 months to start the year in 2020. Or wait, let me just read it. At the start of 2020, Scott seemed poised to do much of the same. After a slow 3 month start to the new year, Scott raised just under $900,000 to end the second quarter, an impressive haul, but nowhere near his previous record of $1.14 million raised in the spring of 2013, right? With his previous year's fundraising in line with previously reported averages. With more than 1 year to go until the 2022 election, Scott has already matched Toomey's field pacing haul for 2015 and 2016. All right. This is a race to watch too in Georgia for us. Is really shout out to Lexi Colburn who joined me on the Mic'd Up podcast. You can go check out the podcast. There's a few episodes ago on Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Go to Mic'd Up. It's called Mic'd Up from the Charleston Activist Network. Once merely above average, Scott now reigns as the second best funded member of Congress behind Georgia Democrat Raphael Warnock. That's what's up. That's good to see that they working hard in Georgia. They're not taking shit for granted. That's the race to watch. That's a race to watch. All right, behind Georgia's Democrat Raphael Warnock. At least, I mean, I'm glad it's a black man leading the pack, even though all this money in politics is really unsettling. Who has raised just over $44.2 million in what is anticipated to be a fierce re-election battle against football star Herschel Walker. And this the bullshit. You just like pulled up any black. Herschel don't even live in Georgia. He just moved over there real quick to try to beat that ass. I never mentioned Scott's totals. All right, over a 2-year election cycle. I'm going back up in the article. Over a 2-year election cycle ending in 2016, the candidate spent slightly more than 4. What is the total? Whatever. We got it. All right, we get the point. All right. So I'm gonna leave it there. Take some days. I'm taking some days off. But you'll be hearing from me. Please sign up for the newsletter if you can. Working on some things, some really fun things for the new year and also to end the round out 2021. Working on some really good years. I got a little bit of a sneak peek. I can't give you too much. For those who held on to the end, you get a sneak peek treat. So this is a sneak peek. This is a sneak peek. Working on some merch, working on some things, working on not just merch, but like working on some ideas. It's just that's it. Really excited about that, and I'm excited to be just excited, but we just need to take a break so I can recalibrate, figure out what y'all want, figure out what I want, and all that stuff. But hopefully y'all be able to support. Just think of the word pre-order, just in time. I don't think we're gonna have any supply chain issues. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna have any supply chain issues. I think we're working on that right now. We're trying to get some hoodies and tees from reliable sources. And so hopefully y'all can support this work that we do here, and support the work that I'm excited to be planning in person. Oh yeah. oh yeah, all good vibes. Like Tim Scott said in Proverbs, the power of the tongue. I'm joking. 8.3. This is the total I was waiting for the post encourage. Just write this in the first paragraph. Jesus. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. First of all, y'all did y'all thing today. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm pressing play on all the alerts, so they're gonna pop up. Thank y'all for the support. Thank you. I want to show my necklace again. Jersey in the house. Jersey, South Carolina. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for buying bits, all of that. And I really just want to justify your support by continuing to bring you things that you can enjoy and you can use. And so that's what the goal is, to start doing that. So I'm going to take a couple of days off, come back around election, might come back around, other times, just to kind of give us an update on the race. But you will be alerted to when I go on. I'll put it in the newsletter. So, and I'll, communicate when I'm going to hop back on Twitch to talk about the election. If there's any pertinent news, even if there's something leading up to the election that's newsworthy, I'll hop on to address it. But this is a big moment for Charleston City Council. Y'all, if Harry gets kicked off, don't let nobody else, we got to hold Stephen accountable. Yeah, he becomes an elected, and that means we gotta keep him honest, right? But that's gonna be the power of the people. There's going to be the power of the people. I know y'all might say, well, it's easy. No, don't take nothing for granted. Keep working. Reach out to Stephen Bowden, figuring out how you can get engaged. Reach out to Carol Jackson, figuring out how you can get engaged with the races, with her races specifically. That chick that's run up against her don't seem too like, she got a lot of signs on James Island though. Like a lot. I've seen a lot on the barrel. Right before you get to like if you want to go to downtown I can't even explain what that is. I'm horrible. But like her signs are everywhere. She got these banners everywhere on James Island, right? We should pull up on, I would be pulling up on Griffin's front lawn. What? Don't even put the battery in my back. What? Have a party, play nothing but rap music. Oh my God. All right, y'all take it easy. I'll see you. I'm gonna take a couple days off. And then I'm going to come back. Remember, 41 Savage, I'm 41 November 10th. My dad turns 80. Wait. My dad's birthday is November 8th. I always be like, is he 80 or 81? Because I was his 40th birthday present. Or was I his... I don't know. Whatever. Scorpio's in the house. Bye. Scorpio season.